There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can roll the image, make it flutter. We can change the focus to a soft blur, or sharpen it to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your television set. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to the outer limits.
So are they in town?
They are.
Like they live there? In Sacramento? Or Shreveport?
Yeah.
Let's talk to you.
I will, but I didn't want to.
That's unbelievable. My own man is such a kid.
Telling you what
Purple sound.
It's intermission time, folks, so hurry, hurry, hurry. Step right over to our refreshment center for the most extravagant array of refreshment goodies ever assembled under one roof. Enjoy breathtaking, mouth-watering goodies, everything from a snack to a delicious full meal. At our refreshment center, you'll find a large variety of goodies to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, or your sweet tooth. So hurry, hurry, hurry. Visit our refreshment center now. The show starts in 5 minutes. The show starts in 4 minutes. The show starts in 3 minutes. The show starts in 2 minutes. The show starts in 1 minute.
We're going to start. We're going to start, folks. Okay, good evening. Welcome to the February 5th San Mateo County Harbor District Board of Harbor Commission meeting. And can I please have a roll call?
Commissioner Brennan? Here. Commissioner Holsinger?
Here.
Commissioner Guardado?
Here.
Commissioner Tappert?
Here.
President Granado?
Here. Next on the agenda is public comments and questions, and I have, for non-specific items on the agenda, I have two speakers. I have Mr. Joshua Cosgrove and Mr. Leonard Warren.
Thank you very much, Commissioner President Bernardo and Commissioners. My name is Joshua Cosgrove. I am a member of the Board of Directors of the North Coast County Water District, just north of here in Pacifica. I'm also the Local Agency Formation Commission of San Mateo County Special District Alternate member. And I'm here to request and to ask for the vote of your Commission President for the upcoming Selection Committee meeting in which a new regular member, regular district, special district member to serve on LAFCO will be selected. It's March 4th. It's evening meeting, 7 p.m. And the Commission President has the authority to vote for the regular member. And you must be in attendance to vote. It's not a mail-in ballot. And everything is going to take place at that meeting, the nominations and the vote. Like I said, I'm the current alternate member to LAFCO. I was elected in 2012 as the alternate member. And I've been on the board of Northwest County Water District for 10 years now. I'm the current vice president. I've been president, so I have a lot of experience with special districts, a lot of knowledge with special districts. My regular job, I work for the city of Pacifica, so I have pretty good knowledge of what it's like to work for a municipality as well, and sort of the strengths and weaknesses of both. And I believe I would make a very strong member of the LAFCO Commission. So I thank you very much for the time here. Thank you very much for the consideration. Please feel free, don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions or to talk. I'm happy to answer anything. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Leonard Warren.
Mr. President, Commissioners, who did this? Have them pay a radio station? Well, I didn't, until I got a phone call from a couple weeks ago asking me to come down and do an interview. And apparently this district has caught their attention because they asked me a bunch of questions about this district. And so I think that anybody who's following this district on television might want to go check out the interview. The radio station is KHMB, and the signal, it's a small town radio station. The signal only reaches to Surfers Beach, although they say they're installing more antennas like at the airport. But for those like me who are outside their signal area, you can listen to the interview on khmbradio.com, where it's playable directly or downloadable as an MP3. And so for the commissioners who just brush off a few people you hear from here that think that this district is totally run amok, listen to the questions they ask and see that it's not just a few of us that show up here who are concerned about the shenanigans of this district. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff recognition.
Sorry, we have two. One is for all the district staff. We happen to be, Chamber of Commerce had one that they presented, it's over here. We have received a bronze award for serving the community. And that would be for the entire district, because we all do different parts of that. The other staff recognition is for the staff would participate. There's a letter in my report, but the Mavericks are going to basically what all the staff did. There's a lot of staff coordination. It's just not the staff on the water. It's staff in the offices. It's staff coming from other Oyster Point as well, coming over to cover so that we can do our normal jobs plus have Maverick. So I just want to congratulate them on a job well done, and we had no safety issues.
Okay, thanks for that nice letter that you wrote to the staff, Scott. I saw that attached. Thanks.
Kudos to staff.
Yeah, exactly.
Kudos to staff. Any other staff recognitions?
I have a question. Who wrote the, what's the name of this report? Where is it? The system EMS update report. You wrote that?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed reading that, so just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Moving right along here, consent calendar item 1, minutes of meeting of January 15, 2014.
Make a motion to approve the item number 1, the consent calendar, minutes of meeting of January 15, 2014.
I hear a motion.
I'd like to pull that consent.
Okay. So it's been pulled. So item number 1, meeting minutes of meeting January 15, 2014. I heard it first. Do I hear a second for that?
Second.
Hear it first and a second. Okay. Is there questions?
Yeah, I'd like to just make a couple comments.
Point of order, Mr. President. I just asked for questions and she immediately said she wanted to make comments. I'm not sure what your...
Okay, we'll take any Commissioner Brennan, you got questions?
I do, as a matter of fact. Let's see here. I wondered why, this is a question for General Manager Grinnell, the action minutes don't include any indication of what the public comment was.
Because action minutes don't call the rest.
Typically, action minutes include an indication of whether the public comment was in support or not in support of an item. Why is that not included?
Our understanding of this is that we can review that, and if we need to modify that, we'll use it.
So how should we move forward with reviewing that?
Read Robert's rules here.
Does it need to be put on the agenda for review so the board can make a decision on it? How should we address that? I'm not getting a clear answer.
To address this, may I suggest would it be possible to include the name of the speaker and the topic that they have raised during the meeting. For example, tonight we had Speaker Mr. Cosgrove discuss LAFCO, something like that. Just so that you have an idea of what the speaker raised during the meeting.
May I address that?
I'm asking the general manager.
Okay, we'll get to Commissioner Wilshire. Mr. Grinnell, would you like to answer that, or would that suffice?
I don't know.
No, I would like to address that point.
Okay, Commissioner Wilshire?
Rather than piecemeal make changes, one commissioner at a time based upon a request to vary from a practice of minute keeping, it seems to me we should at some point establish the standard of practice for keeping of minutes. And once that's established, we no longer have to go through this every month.
Because it keeps changing. We did it
this up as an agenda item at the next meeting to discuss? Or do we want to discuss this now? How we do this? Because this could be a long discussion, everybody.
This is not on the agenda, so I believe there's been no proper notice.
Okay. So let's, during commissioners' requests, I'll bring this up then.
Okay. On page 3, it says here, under item 6, Holsinger asked to remove item 6 from the January 15th, 2014 agenda and place it on the February 5th, 2014 agenda with revised general correspondence for construction list. It was actually that Commissioner Holsinger asked to have it placed on the consent calendar, not the agenda. So that is not correct. And then again, right under that, it says, motion by Holsinger, second by Paramano to remove item 6, records destruction from the January 15th, 2014 agenda to place it on the next agenda. It should say, place it on the next consent calendar because that is what we voted on. We voted to place it on the consent calendar. And it's just, it's not accurate. So that's the only point there. And there's one other thing on page 5. Towards the bottom, third paragraph in the bottom, it says, Brennan asked when the district will make the lease analysis for fish fires available to the public. Brunel stated he received information from council and needed to review it before responding to Brennan's concern. He stated he would review it within the next couple of days and she would get a response accordingly. For clarification, this isn't correct because there is no lease analysis for fish fires. It doesn't exist from what I've been told. That isn't what I said, so this is a mischaracterization of what was actually said during the meeting, so I'd just like to have it corrected. I wasn't...
I'm sorry, Commissioner Brennan, do you have a suggested sentence that would correct that? Or would you like to email it to staff, or?
I can email it. I don't want to waste everybody's time.
No worries, just wanted to make sure we're efficient and clear, so.
I'm happy to email it. But that was
Motion to accept the meeting minutes of January 15, 2014.
I don't understand what that means. Does that mean that we're going to get a draft back and then have to approve the draft? Can we get clarification on that? Because I want to make sure I understand what I'm approving. Then I would say you guys need to approve it, and we'll bring it back to the next meeting. Yeah, I think that's how it works.
So we're recommending that it be corrected and modified.
Right, so if you want to see the corrections and the modifications before you approve it? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we have first and second, so we're going to vote on this item. Then it will be tabled to the next meeting for. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And one extension. Two extensions. 3 aye, 2 extensions. Okay, motion carries. Okay, we are at commissioners' requests.
I asked for consideration of item number 1 as well, consideration of the commissioner's request.
Yes, Commissioner Tucker, I really would like to just keep it in this order. I just like to keep it in this order. So, before we get to Commissioner's requests, I have, I know this is kind of unusual, but an urgent item from the public, so I'd like to entertain that right now from Mr. Warren.
I just want to speak on the urgency item whenever you're going to take it up.
The urgency item.
You have something on the table that is
That would be a meeting location, I think.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't have numbers, that's like to do.
Okay, I see. So why don't we,
We could make this number the next thing.
okay, if this is an urgency item, why don't we deal with this then? I'm sorry, let's deal with this and then let's continue on with the agenda. So Mr. Warren, would you like to go first before we,
Point of order.
Yes.
The first question would be whether or not the board wishes to consider the item. That's what he wishes to address, rather than the item itself. That we need to make a distinction. The first question to you is, do you want to place it on the agenda?
I see. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Commissioners, would someone like to place the urgency item on the agenda?
I move that we place the urgency item on the agenda.
Okay, and that is the resolution, correct me if I'm wrong, staff, resolution 04-14 to amend resolution 23-13 to change the location of the first regular Harbor Commission meeting of each month to be held at Seacrest School 901 Arnold Way, Acton Bay 94019. I heard a motion and a second. All in favor to put this on the agenda right now as an urgency item, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so this is on the agenda now. So now let's hear from the public comment. Mr. Warren, please.
Didn't know it was coming up with this.
Okay, go to the next. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've been on my board for 17 years. In the last year, this board, meeting twice a month, has done more urgency item additions to the agenda than my board's done in 17 years. Why is that? We have common staff, you know. And that's where it has to be. Your council isn't even confident enough to tell you that the motion that was just made does not meet the Brown Act requirements for adding an urgency item to the agenda. Brown Act says that in order to add an urgency item to the agenda, you have to make two findings. Why don't you ask council if she even knows what the two findings are? I think she does. She just didn't bother to bring it up. And, you know, I'm not even speaking to the item itself. I think that that's probably a very poor venue. The acoustics in school multi-purpose rooms are typically very, very bad. When you set up the board tables at one end of the room and the audience is set up at the other end of the room, the audience simply can't hear what's going on. That's why I try and avoid at all costs meeting in the elementary multi-purpose room, because the acoustics are miserable. And I'm sure that any large ceiling room, which appears to be, from what I see of the description of this proposed new meeting place, I assume the acoustics there are going to be really, really bad. And before you pick a new meeting location, you need to make sure the audience is going to be able to hear your discussions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bill Keeble.
Thank you, Commissioners. I also follow that no matter what I say, I'm going to be perceived as a nice guy. But my request is that you do not move out of the mid-coast, that you stay as close to Princeton as possible, since most of the stuff you're working on affects the majority of the people that live in this area and work in the harbor, work on the boats. Moving things down to Halfmoon Bay increases, the traffic going back and forth down to there. Some of the people I know have financial considerations, and bus service at this time is not great. I know you have one meeting over the hill, close to your harbor over there. I think there are venues, even inside the harbor district, or in that area, Princeton, that you could possibly get that would allow people to, from the harbor, to even walk to the meetings. Otherwise, it's places like Seton that we use for MCC meetings, which are now open on Wednesdays because MCC isn't used. But again, I think the location moving further away from your actual jurisdiction is something you should avoid at all costs, mainly for the people that want to participate and come to these meetings.
Thank you. Is this for this item? I'm sorry, is this for this item? Okay, thank you. For the urgency item, I have Mr. Dan Haggerty.
Good evening, Commissioners. Dan Haggerty, 25-year resident of Elgin. I'd like to urge you to vote against moving the meeting venue. I think it just makes better sense to have as close as possible to the harbor right here, where most people that are affected by your decisions can easily come in and sit in on the meetings and be able to voice their concerns. I think it would be a very bad idea and more difficult for this to happen
So I urge you to please continue to have your meetings by the meeting this location. Or as close as possible.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ms. Catherine Slater-Carter for this urgency item as well.
Thank you. I want to voice concordance with having a meeting at Seton. It's easily accessible. It has good parking. It will accommodate large numbers of people. I know that this is probably a little bit larger than most of your meetings, but I have been at some of your meetings where there have been quite a few people, and one of the things that is very important is having it easily available. It also has the wiring, once you decide to do it, for live broadcast of meetings. So I think for the transparency of the district and the accessibility of the district, it's one that's easy to get to. And I would recommend keeping it as close as possible to where your district is. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Mr. Grinnell, would you like to introduce this urgency item and explain it?
Mr. President. Yes, we have been informed that this room will no longer be available to the district for board meetings, and so we have to find an alternative location. We have checked out a large number of locations that are successful. The location that's referred to in this item, this board item, we only came across in the last 2 days and were able to pin it down so that, in fact, we could assure the Harbor Commission that we'd have a place to meet at its next outside meeting. And the arrangement that we would have with the school is that we can cancel the agreement at any time. And so if it turns out that that room proves unsuitable for one reason or another, then we can move to another place. But we need time to continue looking, whether it's for any of the reasons mentioned by members of the public or otherwise. We needed to pin something down. It's that simple. So the staff's recommendation that you adopt resolution 414. You must adopt the resolution in order to establish your meeting location. This is district practice. And so you need to pass that resolution. If you do not do it now, then there is in fact one more board meeting, but then we're real close to when the co-side meeting is coming up. And staff wanted to make sure of 2 things. Number 1, that you had a place, and number 2, that the public had maximum notice of the new facility. What we can undertake to do is continue looking over the next month to try to deal with, if that's your desire. But staff would recommend now to ensure that you do have a place to adopt the resolution.
Thank you. Commissioner Tucker?
Mr. Grinnell, I understand you to say that management has asked us to have this be the last meeting at this hotel?
That is correct.
Mr. President, I would move, place a motion on the floor to adopt resolution 04-14 to change the location of the first regular Harbor Commission meeting of each month to be held at the Seacrest Room 901 on the way half Wednesday. I would so move.
Okay, I hear a motion. Do I hear a second on that motion?
I will second.
Second on the motion. Commissioners, any discussion on this motion?
I do. Mr. Grinnell, prior to this location, I know we've talked about this meeting, that building, and this building. We've been here approximately 3 years. 4 years. And prior to that, we were at the Coastside Water District. And do you remember how long we were there?
Many years.
I
can't remember how many.
20?
Well, before I joined the district.
And the reason for the change of location from the water district in Half Moon Bay to this location was because the water district was terminating our lease.
Correct.
Our private meetings. So this is an ongoing process that we are going back to Half Moon Bay in place in a venue that we had originally been in for a good part of our district. Thank you.
Any other questions on this?
I have some questions.
Commissioner
So you just mentioned, Commissioner Caravano, that that Seacrest is a location we used to be at. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, that's incorrect. We were at the Coastside County Water District.
Yeah, it's on Main Street. I think he's saying the location is.
It's very close to the water district.
Yeah, okay. Is this, I'm sorry, I don't know the school. Is it a private school or a public school?
Yes, private.
A private school, okay. And when did we learn that, was a letter sent from K&N Properties to the district regarding termination of this lease?
No, there wasn't a letter.
So how did we find out about the termination?
From Mr. Mayor.
Was it called?
Yes.
Oh, and when did that happen?
Let me show you.
Month plus, I don't remember the date, probably month plus.
Yeah.
So over a month ago? So I'm wondering why this is an emergency item, you know, if we've known about it for over a month. And I've never heard a word about it until tonight.
Certainly. It's very simple. We only were able to find this location and establish an arrangement with them just a couple of days ago after the agenda went out. And so in order for you to consider this, it has to be an urgency item.
But couldn't you have brought it up at the last board meeting and let us know that we were going to need to relocate and that the district staff was in the midst of trying to find an alternative location? Couldn't you have informed the board about it?
Well, we had no knowledge. In fact, we didn't even know about the school's existence of that. You know,
but you knew you had to move. Couldn't you have told us that that was coming?
I suppose so.
It would have been helpful if we'd known.
excuse me just one second, if I could interrupt on this particular train of thought. As I recall, a couple of meetings ago, it was mentioned that, I'm not going crazy, right? At a couple of meetings, there was something said about, you know, we don't know how much longer we may have to be here because we got kicked out of that other room and we had to come here. And I remember some discussion like that. I do, if you look back in the minutes. So.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember that we had to leave the other room, but there was no mention that we were here only as transients temporarily. Okay, so did staff look into Seton Medical Center because that would be closer to Pillow Point Harbor?
If I may speak to that, I did not know about Seton. First off, I mean, I've been out there for emergency care with issues that have happened in the harbor and stuff. I didn't realize they had a meeting room. But I put the word out to the chamber and other groups as well, tell me where there's meeting rooms. I've asked the county, everybody I could. There's more phone calls and visits I've had to do, and most of them were not available on Wednesday night, first Wednesday of the month. We had some criteria we had to work from, volume of space. Try not to have a bar in the same space, and things of that nature. I mean, just basic criteria. And be able to be open around 5 o'clock so we can set up and close around 11 o'clock if there's a closed session. Tables and chairs, just the basics. Wednesday night's a hard night because it's, for lack of a better put it, it's a church night, it's a family event night in most midweek activities. And so even rooms that were, maybe a church basement or something of that sort were in use.
So, Seton does have
I haven't seen that one, but I'll have to take a
they have a large room, and they have had public meetings there on Wednesday nights for years. The Midcoast Community Council used to meet there on Wednesday nights, but they recently moved to the Granada Sanitary District for their meetings, which means that, as far as I know, there aren't any public meetings on Wednesday nights at Seton right now. They also are a emergency evacuation site, and they do have the technology that would be useful if we ever reinstate videotaping our meetings.
And I don't have a problem taking a look, but at the short notice now, I just want to make sure that we're aware that, maybe we look at seeing as a potential, but I want to make sure also that I have ADA parking, ADA access.
The hospital.
I don't question that, but I've been at a couple hospitals, you're walking a long ways.
It's a small hospital. They have
I've been there. I've been there.
Okay.
Kilo knows.
It's all ADA.
So really, I think it's more just nice to see what we have too. I mean,
Also,
I put boots on the ground and make sure it's what we need.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're going to check into it. And one thing that is nice about it is a public facility versus a private facility. It's, private school. I think it might be more accessible for the commercial fishermen, and it's hard for them to get to these meetings. So if we can try to make it as convenient as possible, I think the public would really appreciate that. There are a couple other schools. I don't know if you checked them out.
I went to their school districts, and one of the, even using the spaces that they had that were available for Wednesday night, the price range was in the 800 plus for one night, and we had to do the setup and takedown.
And you checked with Fairlawn View and...
I did all, and I worked on a few just the districts and others I went through. It was amazing how Wednesday night's a hard night, let alone the availability of space and parking and all those things come up with that.
Right. Okay, so Seton sounds like the best bet. I'm not quite clear on, do we have to move by the very next meeting in this location, or do we have a little grace period from KM Properties?
No.
What do you mean now?
No.
We do not have a grace period?
That is correct.
Okay, so this...
Tonight is your grace period.
So we had a grace period, but we didn't know it because nobody told us that this was happening. Is that, we had a month to figure it out? A little over a month?
We have the time now to figure it out. We have found a place, so you are secure for the next meeting in a place if you adopt this resolution. Meanwhile, if the board wishes, we can continue to look for a place, and if need be, set up something else, as long as we have enough time to do so and have adequate notice to the public.
And so I'm hearing from Scott that you're going to check in with Seton.
First thing in the morning.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you.
Are there any other questions before we do the vote? Because I heard a motion in a second. Okay, since will this involve money? Well, let's do a roll call. Let's do a roll call.
Commissioner Brennan?
I'm sorry, what was the cost? Is there money involved?
Yes.
I'm sorry, what was the cost?
It's $60 an hour.
An hour?
Yeah, we said 16 hours. I think it was a minimum. They would charge us only for 2 hours, even if we stayed longer, because we lock up on.
And I think people in the audience probably know, but we can't ask them now. I think Seton was free. So,
I haven't
yes,
had a
I'm
discussion with them, so I can't.
seeing nods in the audience that Seton is free. So this is a lot more expensive than Seton could potentially be, just FYI.
Yes, we're paying $100.
We're voting, are we? Yes, we are. We're not discussing the vote. So I'm sorry, let's continue with the roll call, please.
Commissioner Brennan? Commissioner Holsteiner?
Aye.
Commissioner Paravano?
Aye.
Commissioner Tucker? President Bernardo?
Aye, the motion carries, and that is to approve this resolution to have the meeting location secured at Seacrest School, but also knowing that Harbor Master Brady will look into an alternative at the hospital. So thank you. That concludes the urgency item, and we are now back to commissioner requests. So, Commissioner, do I have any commissioner requests?
I have requests, but if anybody has some, great.
Why don't you go ahead?
Let me ask you then, since there's a lull, are you taking motions to add agenda items for future agendas or not at this particular time?
I am taking, as it states here, I'm taking requests that can be, for items that can be placed on future agendas.
And I have two requests.
Okay.
I'd like to make a...
I'm sorry, I had Commissioner Brennan go first. So if I could just have her finish her items and then we'll get your items.
Thank you. I would like to request that I received AR reports, those are accounts receivable reports with visible account numbers. Any other redaction that needs to happen of a boat number or slip number or a customer name or a customer contact info that needs to be redacted is totally fine with me. I just, as I stated at the last meeting, January 15th, I just want the AR reports with the visible account number so that I can cross-reference the number, the costs. And, you know, that was supposed to have already happened, so I'm hoping that this time, you know, I'll actually really receive that information. So just wanted to mention that.
So, I'm sorry if I can interrupt you here. So what we're doing right now is we're taking each of the items and we're going to vote on them to go on future agendas, correct? I just want to be clear on that, that's what our process has been.
You make requests during this agenda item all the time. You have been making requests during this agenda.
Right, and let's define request. Request meaning on agenda items or on are these?
Staff, you've been making staff requests during this agenda item. Numerous staff requests.
Right, I'm trying to understand though your use of the word request. What do you mean by request?
So this is a request for the AR reports.
Okay.
And that's something I have to request from staff, and there is no other time during the...
So this is not for an agenda, because I thought that this is to place things on future agendas.
We have been, it says here, let's just take a look at what it says. Commissioner requests. Board of Harbor Commissioners may make public requests may be made to place items on future agendas, but it doesn't say that you can't make requests. And you've been requesting reports from staff.
Okay, I'm not arguing that. I'm just trying to get clarification here, so.
Okay. So I realize that may change. I realize that may change in the future, but that's how we've been doing it.
Okay, I just wanted clarification on what you were referring to when you used the word request. Okay, so you're asking for a...
I'm asking again for the AR reports, and it's just reports that I'm asking for. If you think that needs to be on the agenda, you can put that on an agenda. You know, we need to vote to put it on the agenda to look at the AR reports. Probably the whole board should look at them, right? Don't we all want to see them?
If this is a request, then it can be a request to staff.
Okay, so you guys heard it?
Well, we sent you a couple of emails.
And I responded, and I haven't gotten the AR reports.
We asked you, I think.
Excuse me, Mr. President, I think this may require a board item because staff requests board guidance on these kinds of requests.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay, let's just, Mr. Cornell, please continue.
And the reason for that is very simple. There's the potential that private information from our tenants could be inadvertently divulged. And I think given that possibility, it's important for the commission to provide guidance and direction to staff as to what staff should be doing. And so I would suggest that Commissioner Brennan's request be considered as a board item so the board can in fact act and direct staff accordingly.
It's a very simple request. It's a really simple request. I don't think it's that complicated.
Point of information, please.
Yes.
it's my understanding that Public Records Act requests are subject to a certain procedure and law. And that there's a procedure to be followed if there's a dispute between the requester and the nature of the information or documents provided for review. So there is a process and procedure established by law for that. How is this different? I'm asking the president of the board who needs to determine what action to take. I think I'd look to counsel, but I mean, this sounds like a Public Records Act request, and it sounds like an issue that a request has been directed to the general manager by a commissioner as a Public Records Act request. Certain information has been redacted based upon whatever process there is there, and that process is what's to be adhered to, not to seek an end run around by an appeal to you at a board meeting.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to, we'll get back to you, Commissioner Brennan, but I right now would like to get clarification from council on this particular item in terms of having a solution on the item. I mean, should we place it on the agenda? I mean, in terms of policy.
I think that's what your general manager is asking for. He would like some policy direction. I think what Commissioner Holsinger is addressing is a different issue. Commissioner Brennan's asking for a particular set of information. The manager is telling you what the board is directing how to respond. And Commissioner Holsinger is indicating that any member of the public, including the Commissioner, can make a Public Records Act request, which is a separate part from the conversation here.
Okay, thank you. That helps a lot. So Commissioner Brennan, is this a motion to place this on an agenda then?
This is not a PRA request. I have not made a PRA request for the AR reports yet. However, if I can't get them by requesting them as a commissioner, then the next step will be I will request them as a member of the public through a PRA request. But I just would like to say that I think it is absolutely outrageous that a commissioner on this board would need to put in a PRA request for accounts receivable reports. So I certainly hope that that is not what is going to happen here.
So we just, if I can, I'm sorry, but if we're going to clarify.
I hate to interrupt, I'm sorry. Our accounts receivable are always available at the district office. I see them before every meeting. And I go through the bills and claims, and they're part of the bills and claims. So-and-so received a refund, so-and-so paid this. Those are all our accounts, those are all our tenants. They're readily available with nothing redacted at the Harbor District offices.
You want to take a copy of it? You want to take over? Because I'm not the board.
Okay, I'm sorry. Any commissioner can go over there and look at them. I mean, I do it before every board meeting.
Whenever it's my turn, please let me know.
Oh, God, it's always your turn. Okay, Commissioner, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it's hard to get my point across sometimes with me interrupting. Not you, sir, but the young lady to your right.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Brennan, so my understanding is that clarification from legal, this is not about public records, so let's not use public records in our discussion. This is a request. Okay, this is a request, not a public records request, a request. So the question becomes, and I just heard the answer from two people. I heard from Mr. Brunel and Ms. Savory that you would like policy decisions, so this should be a agenda item, correct?
We would like a policy decision about whether
so Commissioner Brennan, I understand your request. Now, if you would like to, place this or suggest this on an agenda item, you can do that. If not, I will do it. So, but I'm going to let you finish first. Your other.
I think it's what that does is that delays my ability to get the AR reports for weeks. And I've already been waiting, and this is not a conversation with you, so I'm sorry, but I don't want to have a back and forth conversation. So this is a delay, is what this is, and
it's providing me as a commissioner from reviewing financial information that's critical to our district, and I think that that is inappropriate. There's no reason why I shouldn't be able to look at this information. We've gone over in detail why it's not appropriate for me to be at the administrative office, although I'll be happy to have that conversation again if we really need to. I think we've had that conversation now 2 or 3 or 4 times at public meetings. So, this information has already been provided to a member of the public through a PRA request. What's happening here is it's apparent that the public is able to get information more quickly and with less hassle than a commissioner, and I find that problematic. I think that we've got a breakdown. If a member of the public can request reports and receive them via the mail or however, PDF, I don't know how the member of the public got them, but without having to go to the administrative office, they were provided. Why can't a commissioner of this board be able to review the AR reports when requested? I don't, and if I need to look at them at Jean's office, I'm going to be there on Friday, so I can look at them there. But I've asked, for weeks to get these reports, just send me a PDF. So do whatever you want. I mean, I've said what I'd like, and if I can't get it, then I can't get it.
Okay, you know what, because I know that we've discussed this, I mean, I remember this discussion going on, and I'll get to you in just one sec, but I just want to finish my thought here, that we've been discussing, as long as I can remember, for the past couple of months, this AR issue has been percolating, and I would like to have some closure here, so I'm going to make a motion that we place the AR reports, making them available to the next meeting.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, it's not, we have the AR reports ready for her. It was my understanding that a message was sent to her in email asking her, since she requested them unredacted, did she still want them redacted, since that was the only way that we would be able to send them to her? It's my understanding that I didn't get a message back saying either way, so that's where we are now. What staff is asking for is, if you want us to send them to her unredacted, we request that the board make a decision about that. Because
policy decision.
Policy
yes.
decision.
Okay. So let me clarify my motion then. Thank you. That helps. I would like to place on the next agenda the policy to unredact AR reports.
And I'm not asking for them to be completely unredacted.
No, I'm not.
All I want is that account number.
Commissioner Brennan, thank you. I'm trying to place my motion here. So, is that clear to legal, what I'm asking for?
No, I think it's not clear to me, so let me state it back. I think the dilemma here at the staff table is demonstrated by this discussion, because this has been an issue that comes up over and over in the meetings, and staff has suggested ways in which those reports could be reviewed by Commissioner Brennan. She's not found those acceptable, so the request is repeated, and staff is at a loss as to how to respond without direction from you.
If I may, Mr. President, if you make a move that is seconded and voted on by this board tonight to place an agenda item concerning AR report availability on the next agenda, what staff can do is to very briefly present a report with several alternatives that you can consider and act on, depending upon which one you choose. But what staff needs is more
Mr. Brunel, I don't really want to get into the whole discussion now, because I think that should be best served when this idea.
I want to make sure, Mr. President, that we give you what you need, and so.
But I think it's premature because we haven't even voted yet. So I made my motion, and the motion is to place accounts receivable reports on the next agenda. Okay, and then do I hear a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, I hear a motion and a second. Is there any questions?
I'm not saying why we're moving on, this is an agenda item, or proposed agenda item. The reason for that is that the district already has a policy in place for commissioners to review accounts receivable. So that's why I did not see a need for any change in that policy.
What policy?
Or activity, access, whatever.
Any questions?
I'd like to know what policy Commissioner Carabano is citing the policy number.
He said activity. He said activity.
I'm not sure I understand this. What is the procedure as you know it?
Okay, this isn't an opportunity to ask questions of other commissioners. This is just questions from my motion.
Just trying to get clear on what.
But he did say activity. Is there a question?
No, I have a comment before we take a vote.
Okay.
And we're going to allow comments, discussion there as well, than just questions.
Okay, because I thought that we were going to ask questions before the vote on the motion.
When you're ready to have discussion, let me know.
I thought you didn't do discussion.
Okay, well, yeah,
you don't do discussion, you do questions.
There has to be a discussion on the motion that's on the floor, come on. Okay, Commissioner Holzner, please,
The motion simply does not have the clarity that makes me comfortable bringing it back on the agenda for another meeting. Because of the lack of clarity, I believe, so we've already used about 35 minutes on this one issue. And I believe that we're going to be using another 35 more minutes on the next meeting's agenda because of the lack of clarity. And for that reason, I can't vote for it.
Okay, all in favor of, let's do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Brennan? Aye. Commissioner Holzner?
No.
Commissioner Carabano?
No.
Commissioner Tucker? President Bernardo?
Aye. Mr. President, may I motion fails. Yes, I'm sorry, Commissioner Tucker.
I would move that an agenda item be placed on the next agenda that clarifies the policy of this board as it pertains to any AR or AP requests or reviewing of any records like that. Is there a second or first?
I second that. Okay,
Is there regarding commissioners?
Anybody, a policy, staff is looking for a policy direction.
Yes.
I think we have a motion to reestablish a policy.
Thank you. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. So are there any questions on the motion before we do the vote? I like your motion better. Okay, roll call please.
Commissioner Brennan?
Aye.
Commissioner Holzner?
Aye.
Commissioner Carabano?
Aye.
Commissioner Tucker?
Aye.
President Bernardo?
Aye. And the motion carries. Thank you for that. So we're back to Commissioner Brennan and item number 2.
Thank you. At the last meeting, we were told that there was going to be an update provided on the appraisal of the building in El Granada. And I noticed that on this agenda, there was nothing included, so just wanted to check in on that. Is that something that I need to ask to have put on a future agenda, or is that coming?
But it's coming when we have something to report.
When is that going to be?
I'm told that the appraisal should be done within the next couple of weeks.
That's what you said at the last meeting. So it's
I
been
have no
delayed.
new information.
So in 2 weeks, you're supposed to have it done?
That's the last information I have. I can assure you that as soon as we have it, we will put it on the agenda as a closed session item for board review. And we have indicated to the appraiser that it is of the highest priority. And he's working on it.
I would like to request that we start enforcing our policy, which this board had a finance committee, and We don't currently have a finance committee, and I think we should have a finance committee that meets monthly, at least until some things get sorted out, to review things such as accounts receivable reports, credit card statements, bills and claims, make recommendations on ways to reduce spending, develop recommendations on improving accounting procedures, those types of things. Those are the kinds of activities that I would, not limited to, but those are just some ideas that I think a finance committee could work on. And I think it would be in the best interest of the district to follow through with our policy, which is that we have a finance committee, and I've never known this district to actually have a finance committee that meets. So I think it's a good policy that we should use. So I guess the question for the president would be, do I need to have this put on a future agenda, or since you're responsible for committees, how do you see moving the finance committee forward?
That's a good question, because typically at the beginning of every term of the president, there is usually a reshuffling of the committees, and so I'd like to ask staff to look into that and give me a recommendation of these meetings, because I think we need to have a broader discussion on the board level, because I remember that we did have this discussion a while back of, possibly merging committee meetings, committees if possible, and deleting some of them that, are no longer applicable, that need, committees that existed with a purpose 20 years ago and no longer are needed. So I'd like to have that broader discussion before I kind of do a one-off here and say, okay, we should just do Oyster Point committee meeting or Pillar Point advisory meeting. I'd really like to have a broader discussion on and decide which one should we do, which one should we have, which one should meet regularly, which ones we should do away with, and really not do one-off stuff if at all possible. Because otherwise we're going to find ourselves back where we started. We'll be spinning our wheels. So.
Right now, there are no active committees at all in the whole district, so it does seem like a good time to revisit it.
And if I can, Commissioner Brennan, revise your request to have an item on the next agenda with recommendations for these committees. Because I know we have many different kinds. We have ad hoc meetings, ad hoc committees, we've got, I believe, advisory committee. There's so many of them that I'd like to have a broader discussion and get a handle on all these committees. I'm sorry, Commissioner.
So is that all, are we all, the staff understand that? Just checking. Did you vote? That was just a direction from the president.
Well, I thought that's going to be an informational item. Sorry, an informational item.
And we need to directions for information.
I'm sorry?
Is that a board direction to staff?
Yes, it's an informational item.
Not for an agenda.
Right, not for an agenda item. It's a continuation of the discussion from before.
So it will be an agenda item, or it will just, how is it going to be presented?
It'll be an informational report that I assume will be in the general manager's report, because that's where the informational reports usually
come from. And then if we want to discuss making committees actually happen.
Then we codify it and we all agree on it.
But can we discuss that if it's not on the agenda?
Well, we can ask questions from the general manager when we come to the report, right?
And then we just put it forward. Okay.
Yeah. And because the information report will explain a lot of
where we're at.
Yes.
Give us
and hopefully provide recommendations where we can then process it.
It's a process. Okay.
It's the process. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Okay, so electronic document storage. One of our local water districts had a fire recently, and that got me thinking about document storage. And I know that our district, at least last I checked, I think I talked with Scott Grundy about it a while back. We have box loads of documents, and we're not scanning those documents, or we're not digitizing the documents and putting them on a server somewhere. I don't know if we have an off-site facility where we store documents. I know that other public agencies use companies that store documents off-site to protect from natural disaster or fire, things like that. So I'm wondering, it just seems like it's way overdue that we have a really in-depth discussion about what our procedures are for documents and find ways to protect the district from an emergency. So if there were a fire, I would like to be sure that we're not going to lose important documents because they're all paper and they're all stored in the same building as the administrative staff. I don't know that that's the case, but that's what I assume at this point. So any thoughts on that from the general manager?
What are you specifically looking for?
Are you asking for?
Well, I'm asking how do, sorry if I wasn't clear, let me ask a question. How do we currently store documents?
In our archive room at the administrative unit and other storage rooms in each of the two harbor offices.
Are any of those documents stored in fireproof file cabinets, boxes, that sort of thing?
Some are.
Some are. Are all of our critical documents like resolutions, agendas, minutes, things that are part of our document retention policy, are those all stored in a fireproof location? They're not. Okay. Has the district done any investigation into finding a more secure location for our documents or a better way of handling documents so that we are protecting the district?
We are in the process of digitizing or making electronically available certain documents already. We're starting with construction documents. We have the ordinance code getting ready to be put on our website and publicly available. We're operating with a firm that does that. And beyond that, we can move to the rest of our filing. Again, right now, staff is totally booked in terms of what we're able to manage. And so if the board decides that this is a priority, we would have to adjust our entire workload to put this up higher in our priority list. There would also be costs involved in terms of finding storage. We're about to enter our budget process for the year. One of the things we might consider doing, in fact, given this discussion, is investigating possible costs of off-site storage or fireproof storage on-site and so on and so forth. Again, all of that takes a little bit of work just to find out. That's not a super good task. Following up on it, that's a different story. Again, one of the things that we're facing with our records is we're becoming overloaded with records that should be disposed of. You have an item on the agenda tonight, which I do hope you'll take action on, because that will facilitate our dealing with records. You should recognize that this district, which has been in existence for decades, has a lot of records. And so the question will have to be looked at as to what really needs to be protected, in what form, what really needs to be electronically or digitally stored, and is that actually feasible and so on. This is a job of work that is going to take some time. And we would have to consider that in the context of everything else that we're doing. And so one of the things staff can bring to the board is another little informational report discussing this for the board to consider as to what it wants to do and what is the level of importance relative to everything else that we need to do in terms of everything from repairing facilities and responding to AR requests and other things like that. So all of this needs to be taken into account.
So currently, we don't have a policy about how we handle those documents other than the 1996 document retention policy that doesn't get into protecting important documents in an offset location or fireproof location. Correct? We don't have anything to go by. We have no policy that guides us with that. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay. Thanks. I would like to discuss at a future meeting, so this is a request for an agenda item. The FPPC's requirements for recusal. I had a conversation with the FPPC this week, and they were very easy to communicate with, and it was very informative. And I think that this board needs, I think there's some misunderstandings about the FPPC's requirements for recusal. And unfortunately, there are a number of agenda items that one of our commissioners is unable to vote on due to what I believe may be some misunderstandings about the FPPC's requirements. And I think we need to have a discussion about that at a future meeting. So I'd like to, it could be in the form of an informational report to get it going. I don't know.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned a commissioner, so is this, and I'm also going to look at legal here, our legal team, or Jean. Does this elevate to the entire board level, or should this be a conversation between legal and the commissioner? Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
I'm not sure what the concern is. If her request is for an educational item about what the FPPC requires, there's lots of information. That's an easy item to bring to you. And that's also something that you go over in your maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 trainings.
Oh, that's right. It is maybe 1, 2, 3, 4.
So can I try to clarify a little bit further? The public has repeatedly brought to my attention that they have a concern that there are inappropriate recusals happening during our meetings. So I was asked by the public to call the FPPC and to check into it. So I phoned the FPPC this week thinking I was going to, be dealing with some crazy state bureaucracy and never be able to get anybody on the phone, and it was going to be really complicated. But instead, this nice lady answered the phone and talked to me immediately, and I just laid out what the public concern was, what the situation was, and she simply explained to me that the public was correct, that the recusal shouldn't be happening. So I want to follow through on that because the public is very concerned about this. They feel that they're not being, how shall I put it, that the board is not doing its job in voting on items that affect the public when we're essentially down one commissioner on every vote related to commercial fishing. So if there is a misunderstanding about the FPPC requirements, I'm sure that that commissioner would be so relieved to be able to vote on commercial fishing items, and I think we really need to clear that up. And I know I have talked to you about it in the past, but it's an issue that's not going away. The public is very concerned about it. They call the FPPC too, and they wanted me to hear it for myself. So I think we need to sort it out, and I don't see why we can't do it at a public meeting, but if it needs to be in closed session, whatever makes sense, I think we need clarity on that, because what I'm hearing from the FPPC is not matching up with what I'm hearing from our council here with this district. So it needs to get resolved because the public is not happy with the current situation. They want 5 votes on a 5-member board. They don't want 4 votes on a 5-member board when the fifth member can technically vote according to the FPPC's rules. I hope that's clear.
Okay, so without, sorry, Commissioner Durden, without going into a whole back and forth of who's right and who's wrong, or, you know, I think that it would be a good idea to bring this particular item and have our council do a closed session meeting and explain, and you know, be a good reminder opportunity, I think, on recusal law.
What I've just heard is really not a closed session item.
Oh, it's not, okay. Can it be an open informational?
It's a question about what's required and not required in order for recusal, what constitutes grounds for recusal, and to be general education.
Okay, okay. Then will be it can be an open session informational item then?
That's really a board decision,
okay.
How you want to
okay. Mr. Brennan, what do you think of an informational item on this?
I think that's a great starting point. I'd be happy with that.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. I'm sorry there. My turn. Yes. Sorry. Commissioner Tucker.
Mr. President, members of the Commission, just one thought first before I have announced two motions to request for agenda items. In meetings recently in the past, we passed a regulation that the commissioners would be allowed to speak for a term limit of 5 minutes, and except for as it pertained to motions where they could speak for a total of 10 minutes on the question of the motion. I didn't want to interrupt anybody, so I haven't said anything about that, but in the future I will ask you to adhere to that, because that's the policy of this organization. And 45 minutes later, having had one commissioner speak, is I think a real abuse of the time of other commissioners. So having said that, as briefly as I can, let me state that I'd like to make a motion to have two items placed on. I'll do them one at a time and explain them briefly. I'd like to have a closed session item placed on the next agenda for February 19th that deals with Avenue Alhambra, and to see where we're at as far as purchasing that property, looking for the assessed value of that property. I too, as Commissioner Brennan, although it is my word, have become a little bit frustrated at not getting any information, and every time that I ask, I'm told 2 weeks. So I think we need to clear the air, put it on the executive session, and see where we stand with this particular piece of property. And I turn to Jean and I ask you, do we have to identify Mr. Grinnell as our negotiator again if this motion passes, or does that automatically come on the next agenda item if it passes?
He is, at this point, by practice, your real property negotiator, so that's what the agenda item will show.
So I don't need to add him to my motion for a closed session item. Then I would so move, Mr. President. I would ask for a second.
Okay, hear a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I hear a second. Can we just do a roll call, please?
Commissioner Brennan? Aye. Commissioner Holsinger?
Aye.
Commissioner Caravano? Commissioner Tucker?
Aye.
President Bernardo?
Aye.
Mr. President,
motion carries.
Thank you, sir. That'll be the 19th, meeting of the 19th. I have a second closed item request to be on the same agenda. I'd like to make a motion that we go into closed session on the 19th as it pertains to any and all complaints that have been received. As an example, I've been interviewed twice by someone investigating a complaint. I'd like to know in closed session where the situation stands now, what our alternatives are, what potential course of action can we take or do we have to take. I've been on a long time, and I think I know where we need to be when the situation comes to full light, but I'd like to hear that in closed session where we can discuss it, and I would so move.
Okay, I hear a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I hear a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brennan?
I'm sorry. Question from Commissioner Brennan?
It was unclear to me what this was about. Can we get some more clarification? What specifically are you talking about?
Commissioner Tucker,
I have
investigation?
I have been interviewed twice regarding an alleged complaint in this area of the Harbor Commission, and I know of other complaints that I believe have been filed. I'm not clear exactly what our procedures are, where we go, what happens when the investigations are done, and I want to hear that in closed session.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Brennan?
I'm going to abstain.
Commissioner Holsinger?
Aye.
Commissioner Giovanni? Commissioner Tucker?
Aye.
President Bernardo?
Aye, so 4 ayes and 1 abstention.
Mr. President, that's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other commissioner requests?
Yes.
Mr. Holsinger.
Perhaps it's because of my training. But when I want to get something on the agenda, I typically consider it and research it and write it out, so I have it written out. I don't know whether you want me to go through read the whole thing, but I want to put on the agenda next time. I'm going to do that, or just a motion card?
If you can give us why don't you read it?
Okay.
We have 5 minutes, so. I'll give you more than, I'm sincere, please read it. Take the time to read it.
Whereas there appears to be only one elected official in the state of California that has an embedded link to a personal political website on the website of the government body on which they serve, Sabrina Brown of the San Mateo County Harbor District, and whereas the personal website for Sabrina Brown was used as the principal website for her 2010 and 2012 political campaigns seeking election to the board of the San Mateo County Harbor District, and continues to be used to express and advocate her personal opinions and political agendas on issues relating to the district and broader community. And whereas the district's legal counsel was previously asked to look into this issue and determine whether or not it was violative of any state laws, but only focused on the Elections Code, which is within the purview of the Fair Political Practices Commission, and did not address provisions of the Government and Penal Code, which are within the purview of the State Attorney General and the local district attorney. And whereas as the chief law officer of the state, the Attorney General is often called upon to provide legal opinions to state and local public officials and government agencies on issues arising in the course of their duties, whose legal opinions have been accorded quote-unquote great respect and quote-unquote great weight by the courts. And whereas this appears to be a legal issue of first impression, at least in California, and whereas it would be a prudent middle course of action to seek an Attorney General opinion on this issue, rather to do nothing and risk complaints of unfairness, legal action, or other repercussions, or make a formal complaint to the district attorney. Now therefore a motion is made that the general manager of the San Mateo County Harbor District be directed to seek an Attorney General opinion whether or not it is violative of any state law or laws for an elected official or the government body of the elected official to have an embedded link on the agency's website to that official's personal website. So I'd like to put this on the next agenda.
Can you, just for my benefit, there was a lot of whereases in there, and can you just give me the synopsis of the motion? I'm sorry. I know that it directs the general manager.
It's a motion that the general manager of the San Mateo County Harbor District be directed to seek an Attorney General opinion whether or not it is violative of any state law or laws for an elected official or the government body of the elected official to have an embedded link on the agency's website to that official's personal website.
Okay, thank you. I hear a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll say the motion.
Okay, I hear a motion and a second. Any questions on this?
I have a couple questions. So since our council has already given their conclusion on this and said that the contact information that's provided on the website is not a problem, it's not problematic, it can stay, it's not violating any laws, it's fine. And we've already been through all this before, and it turned out to be a wild goose chase and a waste of staff time and a waste of a report. It doesn't make sense to me that we would want to direct the general manager to do this work, which seems like a personal vendetta that Commissioner Holsinger certainly has the
skills to do himself. So I would suggest that he take this on his own and save the district time and money so that we can focus on the work of the harbor and the marina. That would be my suggestion, and I guess that's all I have to say about it. So I can't support this.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Let's do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Brennan?
No.
Commissioner Holsinger?
Aye.
Commissioner Garabano?
Aye.
Commissioner Kepler?
Aye.
President Bernardo?
No. Motion carries, 3 ayes, 2 noes. Okay, any other commissioner requests before we go to continued business? Okay, we are at continued business, item number 2, change commissioner request to agenda setting. The report is under Commissioner Tucker.
Mr. President, members of the commission, thank you. This just seeks to clarify the misunderstanding between commissioner requests and agenda items. Certainly they are severed. They're 2 distinct different items. You in recent past, at the request of others, have moved the item up to the beginning of the meeting. I believe in part because we had run so long that some members felt they weren't getting their statements heard because the meetings were really too late. However, if you look at the Board of Harbor Commissioners, item number 15, it still exists. Commission statements, Board of Harbor Commissioners may make public statements. And that's where most of the 45 minutes that Commissioner Brennan spoke to could be addressed quite easily. So what I'd like to do is hopefully clarify exactly what commissioner requests are at the beginning of the meeting. Commissioner requests should be no more than items that are requested to be placed on the agenda. We've alluded to that, we've talked about that, but somehow it gets muddled between statements, informations, and agenda items. That item, commissioner requests, should only be agenda items. And that's why this item appears on tonight's agenda, to clarify that. When we get down to agenda item number 15, all the commissioner statements in the world can be made, information requests can be made, suggestions of staff can be made, on and on and on. But I would ask my colleagues, and I would so move, that under commissioner reports that head up the beginning of the meeting, that only potential agenda items be discussed at that time. And I would so move.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Tucker. I hear a motion. Do I hear a second for this item? A second. Hear a second. Questions? Do we have a question? Does anyone have any questions?
I do, and I want to make sure.
Please go.
So I don't support this change because just if we change the wording to only agenda items, that means that we can't make requests for staff reports, which we've done today at this meeting. And so, I can't support this because we have a hard stop at these meetings. That means that we may never get to agenda item, what was it, 15? And so if we need to make requests of staff for reports or whatnot, we will never be able to do that during the meeting because we may get the hard stop and get cut off. So that's why we moved this to the top of the meeting versus the bottom of the meeting. And the goal of this change that's being proposed tonight by Commissioner Tucker is to further limit the board members' ability to make staff report requests. This board typically does not make frivolous requests, although there have been some exceptions. I have a few listed here, but I won't go too far into it because I could go on and on. But generally, the requests are in keeping with items that are relevant to the Harbor District. In 2013, President Bernardo, who was Commissioner Bernardo then, requested a report on legal costs generated by board requests. It was discovered that the general manager was not providing info to a board member and causing unnecessary PRA requests. So had that request for a report not happened, then we wouldn't have learned that there was a system that didn't work, and we were creating unnecessary legal fees because there were these PRA requests that were going to council and then going back to the general manager, and it was this bizarre circle and it was dysfunctional. We still have some of that going on, but anyway, at least we were able to discuss it. So the board majority should not block the board minority from having a voice, and that's exactly what this change would do. Every board member deserves a voice on this board. By changing the commission request to agenda setting, the board will limit the minority from having a voice. So that's why I can't support this. Thank you.
In response, Mr. President, let me just say that the words commissioner requests and item number 15 are duplicitous. They say the same thing. If in fact the items are running long and the agenda is running long, which in the past we've had a tendency to do, you can always ask that the president move item number 15 up on the agenda, and I'm sure as a courtesy that would be extended. So I don't see any problem with somebody running out of time. And then I'd call, if there are further questions, I would call for the motion.
I do have a question, sure. I know that there's a lot of confusion here. I think a lot of it is just semantics, because here's the thing. For me, information requests and staff reports and information reports and staff reports are the same thing. That's how I define it in my mind. If I ask for an informational report on the status of administrative office, that's the same thing as a staff report to me, which is different from agenda setting, placing something on an agenda to be voted on by the full board. So I think this is all just about semantics, but I do like the idea of splitting agenda items and informational and staff reports. I don't think those should be mixed up, because I think we will be here all night if we did that, and we'd have one mega meeting. So I like the idea of the split, so that you know that for this item, you're only going to talk about agenda setting and voting on things to place or not place on the agenda, and then keeping one section of it, whether it's at the end, whether it's at the beginning, whether we move it to the beginning, but keeping the place for public statements, information reports, or in my mind, what I call miscellany. It's sort of like, if I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving or a happy Valentine's Day, that's what I can do, this public statement thing. So that's how I would like to parse it out in my mind, and that's why I'm going to support this. So, any other questions? Okay, can I have a roll call, please, on this?
Commissioner Brennan?
No.
Commissioner Wilsinger?
Aye.
Commissioner Gerlach?
Aye.
Commissioner Tucker?
Aye.
President Romano?
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 3, records disposal. And this is from staff.
Yes, this is the same item that was deferred from the previous board agenda. We have since reviewed the item to make sure that things are properly identified and that no documents that should not be disposed of at this time are being disposed of. And so staff moves adopting Resolution 114 to authorize destruction of the records as listed on Exhibit A.
Okay. Before I go to the public comment, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 public comments on this item. Is there anything else that you want to clarify or draw attention to, or anything that we come to? Okay. So the following speakers I have, first will be Catherine Slater-Carter, Tony Basso, Harvey Rodak, George Newteff, and Bill Kehoe. So, Catherine Slater-Carter, please.
Thank you, members of the board, President Bernardo. I want to thank you for bringing this to public discussion as a regular agenda item. I think it's very important for the credibility and transparency of districts to keep a lot of records, perhaps more than you think you should. And I would suggest that you look at and adopt an system for keeping all of your records. If you go to the Santa Plains Water Sewer Authority and Coastside site, they have put all of their minutes back to the founding, I think it was in 1979. And all of their documents, all of their resolutions, their financial statements are all easily available to the public. And before you dispose of these paper records, I would suggest that it's very important for the credibility of the district in the eyes of the public. I know this district over the years has had some public relations, public perception issues, and I think in this particular instance, erring on the side of transparency would help your perception. I do have a friend who lives on a boat in the harbor, and I must say I was shocked when I found out he'd been locked out of access to his boat, and it turned out he had actually paid his rent, but it was one of those checks that had sort of been stuffed somewhere. Those kinds of things hurt the credibility of the district. So I would recommend erring on the side of transparency, but making it easy for people to have access to these documents. It's easy. There are systems out there that are not that expensive. There's a wonderful little scanner called a ScanJet that you can just stuff hundreds of pages through. It scans double-sided. It takes almost no time. I've been doing that for the historic records for Mateo Water and Sanitary District as a board member who was very concerned about transparency for our district and also for the history of the coast. So I think it's something you can do, and it might possibly reduce public record requests because people can actually find it online, and they don't have to come into the office and have to take up staff time. But in the meantime, please keep those records and scan them, and so that you can say to everybody, look, we scanned it, no big deal. You want the information? Here it is. I think it's good for the district and it's good for the public.
Thank you. Mr. Tony Basso.
Hi, I'm Tony Basso. Thank you to the commissioners for all this hard work. And thank you for the coffee. I wouldn't be up here right now for that. I'd be asleep. Most of what I was going to say has been said. Regarding destruction of records, destruction is a permanent situation. I would just like you guys to really think through the action of permanent disposal of records and make darn sure that it's something that is not needed or perceived as needed. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Arba.
Harvey Warback, Catherine Bay. I'm on the Coastside Fire Protection District Board, but I'm speaking as a private citizen. The staff report mentions that the destruction of these records is routine. Use that expression a lot. I maintain that nothing is going to be routine in the near future. I think the grand jury is investigating the Harbor Commission. It's out in public. And I don't think that they're investigating them to give you guys a transparency award. I think there's a real question that the public is aware of the fact that transparency has not been a strong suit of this department, this commission, and any attempt to destroy records will be looked upon as an effort to interfere with the public's right to look at these records. The staff report also mentions that motivation for getting rid of the record is there's no room, they don't have enough file cabinets. Well, I'm willing to give you my 4-drawer file cabinet. Keep your records, keep a lot of records in it, if that's what you need. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Butef.
Commissioners, staff, audience. My name is George Mueller. I live here in town, 408 down the Beach Road. You may remember me, I don't attend very many other board meetings, but I follow this district. I think the last time I was here was probably in Acton over there, discussing the replacement of a vacated seat. I saw this item, when I say I follow the district, I saw this item and I sent each of you an email, and I copied all of the board of supervisors and I copied two of the press. Unfortunately, it's around anymore. Patched, but I didn't know that at the time, and I regret the loss. If you don't mind, I'd like to just read one part of it. I won't bore anybody with all of it, but I think probably the most pertinent part is the part that deals with perception, and I think really that is probably the most important part of this item. Over the recent months, the Harbor Board has set several disturbing policies that have gotten the attention of the elected and others. Taken singularly, each one is cause for concern, but collectively they certainly appear very damning. With your permission, I'll begin my recantation from my perspective. First, pitch a fit about a board member asking questions and shut that down. Next, curtail public input. Next, curtail member input. Next, cease all video recordings of the agency meetings. Next, move to action minutes, failing item discussion. And now, for the cherry on the cake, to store agency records. Certainly, you can clearly see cause for concern from those the board serves. It is abundantly clear to the public that the board is circulating the items against its constituents. It should be equally obvious to this board that the board's actions have created a breach of trust with your constituents. The more than obvious question is why? What is it that this board is working so feverishly to hide or protect? I understand staff concerns. I understand the importance of document management. As a broker in the past, I've helped bring document management companies public, and I have a pretty good understanding of exactly how it works, and I sort of on the other side with stacks of documents not knowing what to do. It's very critical. I understand their concerns. I understand their discomfort. I understand the need for more space. But I would offer the same suggestion now that I did in this document, and that is that perhaps waiting until the San Mateo County Grand Jury concludes their investigation with their findings. In the meantime, have staff scan documents that they plan to destroy, set them aside, label them as destruction. That would also allow the Blues Board more time to come up with a better policy to address this issue because it is a critical issue. I would hope that you turn this message down this evening. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Mueller. Mr. Kehoe, and then Mr. Haggerty.
Again, thank you, commissioners, and special thanks to you, Mr. President, for taking this up in session and putting that public forum comment. Like George before me, I also sent a letter to all of you as well as other elected officials. Believe it or not, we do not collaborate. I don't have his phone number, he doesn't have mine, and I keep it that way. But everything he said, I got it. The perception's horrible. It's just not the right time. Like Catherine said before, and my judge said too, I spent my life in data storage and retrieval, working in years at Oracle, and all sorts of awards and so on forth. In the 21st century, approaching document management and approaching information in general has gotten much cheaper, has gotten more readily available to the world, and it really does cut down on the cost. And why you're like dragging your feet and not trying to look at a better solution, putting it on a website, making it digital, making it searchable. Who knows? A good movie or reality TV show could come out of some of these meetings. And all you have to do is make that information available, and we might have a budgeting film group out here on the coast side. So think about trying to get the information out there, because if it's the truth, you've got nothing to worry about. Otherwise, everybody's scratching their head, especially when this, when the grand jury stuff is going on, and you're all of a sudden hell-bent on trying to do away with documents. And by itself, we understand document management, but when we look at all the things that George just listed,
the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. I think the way it goes, we really are not doing the right thing, especially in election. So reconsider this.
Thank you. Mr. Haggerty?
Good evening again, Commissioners. Dan Haggerty from Argonada, 25-year resident. I agree with everything that's been said prior. I urge you to not vote to destruct the records. I think that there's been no sense of urgency to warrant this, and I just echo that it just doesn't seem right at this time. So please do not vote to destroy the records.
Thank you. Okay, so we've heard the report, we've heard public comment, so now commissioners. Commissioner questions for the superintendent. Their staff. Any questions?
I have a question, Mr. Grinnell. In your opinion, what will be the thickness of the group of documents that you wish to destroy? What would be the thickness volume?
It's several boxes.
2 by 2 boxes, 1 by 2 boxes?
Other file folder boxes.
File folder boxes?
You know, the big file folder boxes.
20 boxes.
20 boxes. Can you tell me, generally speaking, aside from accounts receivable, accounts paid, things of that nature, what other kind of documents will be in that list? We have a report here, but can you tell me for the audience's sake?
Just for the record, there's no accounts receivable on the list.
Okay. Are there accounts payable?
Accounts payable and the cash receipts and the daily stubs.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
I have something when it's my turn.
Commissioner Brennan?
Thank you. So, one thing that's been really confusing is this Exhibit A. So Exhibit A has the list of documents specified for destruction. And so far, I have seen what I'm calling Exhibit A.1, Exhibit A.2, and Exhibit A.3. However, they weren't labeled that. They were just all called Exhibit A, but each one of them has a different list on it. So, I don't want to have a conversation. It's all right. Let me know when I can clarify. I'm not asking you a question yet.
Sorry, Commissioner Brennan, please
So, tonight we are working with what I would call Exhibit A.3, but going forward, when we're getting board packets with things called exhibits, and those exhibits get revised, the name of the exhibit needs to change so that people realize that they're looking at different versions of a list. So I don't know why that didn't happen, but going forward, please rename the exhibit so that it's clear to people that the exhibit is actually changed, because that wasn't done, and that's just, it's been very confusing for the public to try to figure out what they're looking at, whether it's the first version, the second version, or the third version. One thing that I noticed about the third version is that we have on the right-hand side a list of years, which explains our records retention policy and how many years we're supposed to keep each one of those documents for. That is great, and that is really useful, and I really appreciate that that made it onto what I'm calling Exhibit A.3. That did not make it onto Exhibit A.2 or Exhibit A.1. So it looks like we're moving in the right direction of providing more information that's useful to the board so that we don't have to do all this double checking with the document retention policy. So I appreciate that improvement in Exhibit A, but I would appreciate it even more if Exhibit A had gotten renamed so that I knew it wasn't the same as the first Exhibit A that I got, since I got 3 different versions. So I just wanted to clarify that. Given the concerns that I outlined in some detail at the January 15th meeting, support destructing documents at this time. So, I don't want to go back over all that again. But I did want to mention that our records retention policy is from 1996 and it's significantly outdated. And we really need to address that. And I believe that we should address that before we destruct any records at all. I think that would be the first step. And we also need to address digitizing important documents, so that would be the next step. And I would imagine those things would go hand in hand. We need a better process for storing our documents in an off-site facility. That should be part of the whole plan. We need to protect the district from the loss during a fire. So that's all my comments. Thank you.
One statement, just a very brief statement. Yes. The only clarification I would make is that our record destruction policy guideline follows the state guidelines almost word for word. So I would just point that out.
A couple of comments. First of all, I'd like to thank staff for revising in a very positive direction the details, improvement in the details of the types of records, the amount of records, and providing us with the guidelines not only provided to us by the state for destruction of public records, but also providing us with our own policy regarding the destruction of records. As I read this, there are 4 categories that these 20 boxes fall into. And they are, and this is found in the staff report, they are accounts payable, ledgers, and then, I'm sorry, 3 categories. I'll start over. Accounts payable, ledger, and then the last category is cash receipts and stubs. So my question for Mr. Grinnell is, are any of these 3 categories that are described and provided for us in the public, do any of those affect the title to real property or liens? Are they any court records? Or are there any records required to be kept by statute? And lastly, are the minutes, ordinances, or resolutions of the legislature of our body or of this commission?
No, they don't cover any of the things.
Thank you. So having heard that clarification, I also want to thank the staff for leading us to this point of understanding that these categories do fall in the guidelines of the state government code and our own policy. In terms of observations of other agencies that have done similar types of public records removal or destruction, I have found, just at the first cut of looking at other agencies that have done this successfully, the city of Monrovia, California, the city of Norwalk, California, the city of Glendale, California, the city of Agoura Hills, California, the city of Anaheim, California, the city of Grover Beach, California, the city of Los Angeles, California, the city of Placerville, California, the city of La Palma, California, the city of Benicia, California, the town of Atherton, California, and the town of San Clemente, California. So I provide these as evidence and examples of similar types of process activities that were followed by these governing bodies that are similar to the way that we established process for destruction of evidence of these documents. So I'd like to make those comments. Thank you.
Mr. Scherzer. I'm sorry. Mr. Brennan, that's okay.
There was one city that you forgot to mention, and that is the city of Bell. And just for clarification with the public, I'd like to, because not everybody was at the January 15th meeting, I'd like to just make it clear that on Exhibit A, the first Exhibit A that we got, there were checks included as documents for destruction, there were resolutions, there were agendas and minutes, there was litigation, there was leases and other documents. So we were there, and I do recognize that the list has improved, so I just wanted to make that clear.
Mr. President, I'd like to at this time make a motion to adopt resolution 01-14 and approve the destruction of the district records. However, this evening, several members of the audience have made reference to the grand jury as if we were under subpoena for criminal investigation, and that's how I received it, although they didn't mean it, I'm sure, just in general to make us aware of it. So in my motion to approve the destruction of records, I would add that the actual physical destruction of the records not take place until the grand jury investigation is concluded and is made public. So if there's any doubt that the district might be held to be accountable for something that could be missing, those 20 boxes will still be there until the report comes out and clears public air. That's my motion.
Okay, I hear a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, I hear a motion and a second. And
therefore we did an opportunity for comment by everybody.
yes. Go ahead and then I'll comment last.
The decision on these records was put over from the last meeting at my request and suggestion, because the description of the records was modified at the last minute by staff trying to be as careful and as clear as possible. There was an error made on there because records were identified which were not supposed to be destroyed. I think checks was the listing. And that was a staff error because it was actually copies of checks, whether the checks themselves or the original records weren't going to be destroyed. So I think that's an example of two things. One, that these kinds of routine matters should be established in terms of the backup documents without last-minute changes. And it's reasonable when there's a request or uncertainty by any commissioner about those last-minute changes, it's reasonable to put it over one meeting to give that commissioner an opportunity to do their due diligence. So I have no problem with that at all. That seems to have been done. And also, when a member of the public finds that there's a description in there in our documents for the agenda that is out of order or not appropriate in some fashion, that's a reasonable part of the process of public serving as a watchdog for any public agency, and I welcome that. So we put it over. But to suggest that there's some sort of suspicion about records being destroyed in this situation, simply, in my opinion, is disrespectful to the executive staff of this harbor district that has been serving the public well for many, many years. And I simply take issue with that inference. So I want to acknowledge that. I think it's appropriate to go forward with the records. Delaying it for a period of time is not unreasonable. I'll vote for it.
Thank you. And I would just finally like to say that for me, this is all about timing, and it's just unfortunate timing that all of this is happening during an investigation. And so that's why there's a big public perception issue here. And then you put on top of that other items that happen at the same time. So I think that
working for a government agency myself in my day job, for me, these things are routine. Document disposal, records retention policies, this is very routine for public agencies. But when you put on top of that this layer of hinting that, oh, well, you're being investigated and that type of thing, I think that we absolutely have to err on the side of the public trust. And so with that, that's why I'm also going to vote to not dispose of these documents until at least after the, two things, until after the investigation is completed, and two, after we have a policy, an updated, not 1996 policy, but an updated policy, because we have nothing to hide here. It's just we have an old policy and then we have all this sort of bad timing that's happening, which raises a specter over everything. And so that's why, for me, I'm also going to vote to sort of kick this down until we have the policy and also the investigation results have come in. So, can I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Brennan? Aye. Commissioner Lassiter?
Aye.
Commissioner Garavano? Aye. Commissioner Trevor? Aye. President Bernardo?
Aye. So, motion carries, and thank you, and let's take a 5-minute break, please.
Intermission time, folks. So hurry, hurry, hurry. Step right over to our refreshment center for the most extravagant array of refreshment goodies ever assembled under one roof. Enjoy breathtaking, mouth-watering goodies. Everything from a snack to a delicious full meal. At our refreshment center, you'll find a large variety of goodies to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, or your sweet tooth. So hurry, hurry, hurry. Visit our refreshment center now. The show starts in 5 minutes.
When they say run, I don't want to take any
Yeah, that's wrong meeting first. But the meeting was good. Yep. Just next door.
No, I'm hungry. Same here, man.
Are you supposed to be Okay, so I guess you will talk, commissioners not to talk in the public hearing. No, great.
That was my
Yeah.
Concerns about the other fishermen too, concerns about the other fishermen not running or losing it,
are going to be passed through or are being passed to the fishermen more directly than to the general public. If it was a general rent hike, they'd sell the buyers and operators wouldn't pass that on to them because it's part of doing business on the market. So I found one guy that said yes, and the game surcharge. So it did a certain rate. It wasn't passed through. When we bumped again, passed through to the fishermen. So it's just one instance of one situation. When I have put it on probably if you want to read it and exchange it for a I'll listen real curious to what the plan is saying. You guys saying this is the market. I'll listen to that. I wanted to have see what part of doing a renter rental there. Frankly, Mike McHenry comes up with this stuff, and I'm not able to know people because I'm not one of them, so they're not going to talk to me. And also, I think there's some other reasons that are going on. And so, whether it's going to be a rent survey to see what the appropriate rent is by a third party, not by us, talking, through our hats. So let's get real information. And frankly, your father is one of the people that we're going to get accurate, honest information from. It's going to help you as part of this process. You realize the agencies pass through the district, just why others out of here are angry and want to beat him up and open the place because he hasn't been punching his books the way they can. Yeah, just go put me equal with them. Yeah, exactly. So I hope you pass along your property.
There's other that other voice to make it easier. Because it blocks the
I'll listen to him, but it's got to be, we're not going to negotiate separate deal for you and a separate deal for you and a separate deal for you. It doesn't make sense. And we already have a contract, so why would we negotiate this ourselves? And why would we do it if we don't have third party?
It was just a nervous
of the offer and also of a rent survey to see what the fair market rent is. I mean, maybe you guys will decide after all that it's not such a bad deal at all. Maybe you want to modify. You know, I'm open-minded about modifying the specific rate as to the wet fish, the sardines, and the. I mean, I can see that because the per pound is lower. That's sort of where I am. I don't know enough. I want to rely on third party experts. Sometimes you guys are the experts. Yeah, exactly. So you know, I have a reasonably open mind about it, but I want to get information in order to make an informed decision. And as the whites, I think I may object. I don't like it.
But it's good. Now this guy on road for, if it's closer to go to Monterey or Montlanny, he's going to go to Montlanny. You don't have to pay no money.
Oh, sure. It's okay. Well, you know, but like I said, maybe those particular rates are a little high for them and could be lower. Yeah, so maybe we can look at that. I mean, that's okay. On the other hand, maybe the proximity, maybe because Moss Landing and San Francisco are so far away, maybe it makes sense. I don't have an answer to that. You know, like I said, I want to get good, valid information, and I want to figure out what everybody that's fair to all concerned. Yeah. You know, but I don't know that the buyers that are coming from off-site are going to go down to Monterey or go over to San Francisco. Yeah, they're not going to. Yeah, that's my point. They're not going to go elsewhere when they have the need here.
Oh, the fish are here, yeah.
So, have I made myself clear? If you have any questions, anything I can do to help, let me
It's actually quite nice weather because it's got it's cold right here, it's warm. Oh, okay, yeah. It's breezy in there tonight. Motion to adjourn. No, we still have a couple of hours. What's all this for coming? Less than a couple of hours. Must have Okay, we are now back in session in new business. Item number 4, request for proposals, RFP, vessel pump out services, Oyster Point Marina Park, and Pillar Point Harbor. Harbor Master Grindy, this is your report?
Yes, this is requesting the board's approval to do a RFP. What we're looking at, the background on this, very simply, is that
we have about 100 or so billboard tenants between the two partners. And as part of our Clean Marina program and other situations, they pay a billboard fee. And by going out for an RFP, the intent would be for the July 1st budget year, I'd like to propose, if the prices look right, and the board agreed, to have 1 to 3 pump outs per month. Typically, a little board may have 2 to 3, maybe more, depending on how many people are on the boat. But it's doing the RFP, it also gives us the opportunity to get a group rate, for lack of a better way to put it, versus an individual rate, which then the tenants can use also. And so that it would allow us to be able to get a bargain deal for that first pump out, and it allows the tenants to have a better rate for their regular pump out services. So
basically, it's a win-win in that direction. And it also gives us a bunch of options that we may be able to, by proposal, see what they can do for us in other parts of what's listed here.
So we have no speaker cards on this item, so Commissioner Brennan had her hand up first, and then we'll go to Commissioner Olson. Commissioner Brennan.
Thank you. So I know from talking with the folks at, I think it's called Bay Green, is that right?
Right.
That they do the same thing at other marinas, and that it's helped the program become successful.
Right.
And it kind of gets people in the habit, it gives them more incentive to do it, which we want to incentivize pumping out as much as possible to keep our water quality at a high level. And I just think this is great, and I'm really glad that you brought it to us, so thank you.
And part of, Bay Green, I assume, for lack of a better way to put it, is probably going to be one of the proposers. But there is other firms out there, and so, I wanted to be able to open and level playing field, because you never know what someone else can offer if they meet the qualifications.
Commissioner Holsinger, and then I have one item, and I will take it. It's a public comment card. So, Commissioner Holsinger.
Harbor Master Grindy, is the RFP going to include a pump out a month for the boaters who are mooring in the outer harbor, not at Harbor District buoys? And if it's not going to include them, how might they be included to incentivize them?
Good question. It's going to have a couple of pieces. Well, first off, by proposal, we'll be meeting with whoever wants this approved or not approved. If I have this approved, I will have like a group meeting with whoever is a provider. And some of the discussion is, at Pillar Point specifically, here's in the outer harbor, they're anchor outs or they're on a mooring potentially. If they're on a mooring, this would be available to them because they're paying a fee to us on the mooring. If they're an anchor out there, they're basically on their own boat, and they're basically they may be cruising through or there for a longer period of time. I guess that if I was to say from your question, if I was an anchor out, I would have the option probably to get the bargain rate if I want to pump out. That would be open to anybody that's in either marina or harbor.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? And then I'm going to get to the public comment card. Okay, Mr. Tony Basso on this item.
Thanks again, Commissioners. First of all, Mr. Holsinger, I appreciate your concern about the outer harbor anchor outs. That's an important issue. I have some personal experience through my own boating activities, specifically in Friday Harbor in San Juan Islands in Washington. They have in their marina, for the marina tents, the dock tents, what amounts to a self-contained system on a hand truck. The boat owner can push to their boat and use dockside. The resistance sometimes from a boat owner is to leave the slip, go to the fixed pump out location, pump, and go back is more trouble than many boat owners are willing to engage in. This system can't be terribly expensive. It's a tank, pump, plug-in type of thing, and the boat owners can use it at their discretion. That in combination with the standard pump on a dock, fixed facility, seems to do a really good job up there. I think we all want the same thing, clean water, but if most people are lazy, it's not convenient, it doesn't get used. And that system's pretty convenient. I hope you guys can look into it also. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, if there isn't anything else for Mr. Grindy, why don't we, since this is going to involve money, it's an RFP, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bennett?
I'm sorry. Whoa. Thank you. I was going a little too fast there. Do I hear a motion for this item? Item number 4.
So moved.
Okay, I hear a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I hear a motion and a second. Roll call, please. Thank you. Thank you.
On the question.
Yes.
On the question motion, you look into that portable, huh?
I'll look into the portable, yes. I've seen those before. I've had both systems. One, just for the answer to the question, a little broader, is that there's about 3 or 4 different ways it's done. Either you have permanently plumbed sewer pump out on each dock area with a rolling out hose that they connect to their boat, or you do a pump out service like we're looking at, or possibly the cart. The harder part with the cart is that once it hits a certain point, now if it's full, we need to be able to have somebody go out and empty it. And that makes it a little more difficult unless we're constantly checking it. So kind of a valet service of sorts maybe. So I'm trying to look at what is the best win for us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. A roll call, please.
Commissioner Brennan? Aye. Commissioner Holsinger?
Aye.
Commissioner Fairlawn?
Aye.
Commissioner Tucker?
Aye.
President Bernardo?
Aye, so motion carries. Thank you. Item number 5, City of San Carlos request for support and compensation agreement. I have one speaker card here, which I will have Mr. Warren after Mr. Grinnell reads his report for this item.
Yes, Mr. President. Basically, it's pretty straightforward. The Harbor District has been involved in these in the past. Basically, it involves carrying forward an arrangement that has been in place so that the district can, in fact, get a payment down the line as it's specified in the letter from the city manager of San Carlos. So it's a very straightforward thing. It basically just calls for the Harbor District through your action to adopt a resolution. That's our resolution number 314 that expresses support for the contribution of the property as specified in San Carlos for that project, as mentioned, and approving a compensation agreement with the city. And in fact, what that leads to is eventually a payment to this Harbor District, not the other way around. So staff recommends approval.
Okay, Mr. Grinnell, do you want to explain, just for the sake of those who may not know, the whole property tax, how this is related to property taxes?
Well, basically, what's going on here is that the State Department of Finance requires approval of compensation agreements as proposed in here by each of the affected taxing entities, of which this Harbor District is one. There is a listing provided by the city, and so the taxing entities, are within a area that any share of any future residual property tax revenue, in this case generated by the former San Carlos Redevelopment Agency, since they've all gone away, including proceeds from disposition of assets, still can be distributed. That's the thing. Before redevelopment went away, then you were dealing with that redevelopment situation and that taxing. So this is just a way of continuing on after redevelopment has gone away.
Thank you for explaining that. I just wanted, for the benefit of those who may not understand what this item is about and why it's being brought forth. So, Mr. Warren.
Good evening, Mr. President, Commissioners. I took a quick look at the staff report, and I think that half of the request from the city of San Carlos is inappropriate, uncalled for, out of order, and sleazy. And that is on asking for your support for the project. The part of their request that it involves financials, that's perfectly reasonable, and I think you should approve that. But I think you should take a neutral position
on the first page of the resolution.
Yeah, right there.
About halfway down, it says, and I'll read this for the benefit of the public, whereas development of the Wheeler Plaza project will not only enhance downtown San Carlos, but will produce significant revenues for all affected taxing entities. And whereas the taxing entities that will benefit from the development of the Wheeler Plaza project are listed, and the Harbor District is one of them, together with their respective property tax shares.
So I'm looking, and it looks like weave throughout the whole resolution, and I hadn't noticed this when I read through this earlier, because I didn't read, honestly, I didn't read the resolution, I read the letter, and then I looked at the spreadsheet with the numbers. And now that I'm looking at the resolution, it appears that the resolution was written by the city of San Carlos, I assume. And I think I would be a lot more comfortable if we were not taking a position on the project. I'm more than happy to approve what we need to approve here so they can move forward, but I don't want to take a position on the project when I know nothing about the project at all. So I'm not prepared to take any position on whether I think this project is a unique catalyst and that it would enhance downtown and you know, is vital to the success of downtown San Carlos. Statements like that, I don't know enough to agree to that. You know, no one's informed me about this project, and there's no information here that tells us anything substantial about the project itself. So can we have this revised? Or do we need to do it right now?
Is that a motion? The motion.
Yeah, I move that we revise this to take out information that supports the project.
But supports the...
Point of information, Mr. President, I think this Mr. Brennan. In the letter in paragraph 3, the last sentence, I'll read it again for the benefit of the Commissioner and the public. Time is of the essence as we need to receive all approved resolutions no later than February 20th, 2014 to respond to the Department of Finance in a timely manner.
I'm fine with the compensation agreement part of it, but not with the support the project part. So if we need to go through this resolution right now and take out all the support the project part, I'm happy to do that. It's kind of a bummer that we have to do that because it's going to take time, but I would rather do that than support a project that I know zero about. But I totally get supporting the compensation agreement, and I'm absolutely fine with doing that.
President, Chair, entertain a motion.
Yes.
Before I make my motion, I understand where my colleague is coming from, and I do understand it. I think this is, not to use the expression, but to say a sister city as a courtesy is asking for support. And I know it goes into the growth, no growth, and project knowledge and no project knowledge, but I think this is more of a courtesy than anything else. So I would make a motion to approve the City of San Carlos Resolution 03.03-14 for support of the project and the compensation agreement. And if it doesn't pass, well, then I'd be willing to look at something else. But I would so move.
Okay, I hear a motion to approve, a motion to move this item as it is. Do I hear a second?
I'd like to amend that motion.
We have to vote on this motion.
I need to get a second first.
Yeah, we have to see.
I'll second.
Yeah, I hear a motion and a second. Let's do a roll call.
Can I listen to that? This is my colleague's amendment.
I just want to,
Right.
yeah, I just want to, I would like to approve this resolution tonight, but there is some language in here that indicates that this board has knowledge about the project, which is probably a great project, but we haven't been provided any information about the project. So it would be false of us to suggest that we know about the project when we
So, okay, let's do a roll call on the motion. Commissioner Tucker. That was seconded by Commissioner Caravano.
Commissioner Brennan?
No.
Commissioner Holsinger?
Aye.
Commissioner Caravano?
Aye.
Commissioner Tucker?
Aye.
President Bernardo?
No. Motion passes. Motion carries. So, moving right along. We are now at item number 6. Local Agency Formation Commission, LAFCO, call for nominations. Special District Selection Committee to elect special district member on the San Mateo County, or San Mateo LAFCO, pursuant to section 56332. Okay, and I believe we had a report here. Mr. Brunel, would you like to?
Sure. Once again, LAFCO needs to make a change for a new special district member on the LAFCO board. And so, once again, we and others are being asked to participate in that process. And the way it's done is for the president of the commission or his or her designate must be present at a meeting in which, for the benefit of the board and the public, it will be Tuesday, March 4th, 2014 at 7 p.m. at the Sequoia Healthcare District office in Redwood City, Venezuela. And at that time, then the vacancy will be filled. And so if the commission wishes to participate in this, then the president of the commission or his designee would need to be present. And if it's a designate, there would have to be in writing an action of the board regarding that designation, just to cover the base. You should also be aware that the district has received 2 letters of interest requesting support. One was from Joshua Cosgrove, who spoke to you earlier tonight, and another one, which I do not have a copy in my board packet, so I can't read it.
We have it.
Oh, everybody got it from me. And this one is, is actually from Rick Lohman, who is running for the alternate position.
So they wouldn't be competing?
Say again?
They wouldn't be competing?
They would not be competing, that is correct. But basically you have 2 individuals who come to you seeking your support. And what you would do if you wish to participate, you would also want to decide whether you'd be carrying support for either or both of these individuals as requested.
I would like to say, thank you, Mr. Bruno. I would like to say that I would like to attend this meeting because I think it's important for us to participate in this, very important. So, having said that, commissioners, what shall I take to the meeting? I look to you.
I had some involvement and familiarity with LAFCO's consideration of the Harbor District and whether it should remain independent or perhaps be merged with some other government agency when they took it up in 2006 and 2007. And I made a point of going and presenting in front of the LAFCO Commission to say that the Harbor District should remain independent and a separate public agency, as well as submitting a letter to that effect. either of these two gentlemen how they feel about that for the Harbor District. Is sort of like being on a United States Senate Judiciary Committee and asking a nominee for Supreme Court how they feel about abortion or how they feel about a different issue. And they're constrained from giving an opinion about that because it's the kind of thing they might be asked to vote on. So I don't know whether it's appropriate to go to these individuals and say, how do you feel about the Harbor District specifically, or the merger of any local special district into a greater entity. But I'd certainly want to get some idea of that before endorsing, whether by a formal vote or just informal comment, anybody for that. So my concern is that I believe that the Harbor District is appropriately and should remain an independent public agency. And I believe that that would be a driving force in any consideration of someone running from that. Mr. Cosgrove seemed like a fine gentleman. He's been involved with special district issues for a long time. He's certainly on the coast side and perhaps has some sensitivity to the unique role the Harbor District plays in the harbor and the larger community. But I don't know how he feels on that particular issue and whether he would favor closing down the district and merging it, say, with County Parks and Rec, which has had its problems over the years. Thank you.
Commissioner Brett.
So I just want to make it clear that what LAFCO is doing is they are trying to fill a seat on their commission for the special district vacancy. So they have people, like they have 2 supervisors on LAFCO, they've got city council people, they've got people that represent various types of government, and this is a vacancy specifically for special districts, and the 2 people who are interested in serving both serve on boards that are special district boards and want to represent special districts. So that is the whole intent of what they're doing there, and they're not people that are not serving on special districts and want to represent special districts. They are actually special district board members who want to advocate for special districts on LAFCO and sit in that seat. That's my understanding.
Thank you. Yeah, it is here on page 2 of 3.
And I'm really thankful that you're willing to go to meetings. Thank you for that.
I think it's important. So, am I hearing any consensus on both Mr. Cosgrove and Mr. Lohman to represent special district member and alternate?
Mr. President, I would leave the judgment up to you.
Thank you.
I would charge the president with discretion based upon the information he has at the time that the vote is to be cast, and ask him to keep in mind the expressed concern about the Harbor District remaining independent.
He leaves it up to you.
Thank you for the clarification.
That sounds fine to me.
Thank you. I will do my best to represent the district, and I will definitely, I mean, we're in agreement that it's important to have the Harbor District not folded into any other district. No, I won't.
Oh, I think we need a motion.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
We have to move to a point.
I think.
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Because it's your job.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. So I get it loud and clear. Thank you, and I will do my best to protect and serve the district at this election. Okay. Moving right along to bills and claims. Thank you. Item number 7.
Mr. President, members of the Commission, it's my pleasure to inform you that I reviewed the bills and claims and would move approval in the amount of $337,000 to $337,653.90. I would so move.
Okay, I hear a motion on bills and claims, so I hear a second.
I'll second it.
hear a motion and a second. Do I have any questions on bills and claims?
I wanted to point out that there's a large payment towards the San Mateo County Elections Office. That's not surprising, but just wanted to point out that we were paying them $94,243.69, which must be a partial payment, or maybe it's the last payment. I'm not
It
sure.
says it's final payment.
Final payment. Okay, so that's good that we got that paid off.
Till next year.
Okay, sorry, Commissioner Brett, anything else?
I'm not going to be voting in support of bills and claims because I did not have an opportunity to review the bills and claims in advance of this meeting. That's all I have to say.
Any other? Okay, talking, thank you. Any other questions regarding bills and claims? I have none. Okay, so I hear a motion and a second. Because this is definitely about money, let's do roll call, please.
Commissioner Brennan?
No.
Commissioner Holsinger?
Aye.
Commissioner Paramano?
Aye.
Commissioner Fedorov?
Aye.
President Bernardo?
Aye. So 4 ayes, 1, no, I'm sorry, it's a no or abstention?
No.
It's a no. 4 ayes, 1 no, motion carries. We're at item number 8 now, informational report, District Commissioner's Health Care Benefits. Is this Mr. Grinnell or Ms. Harris?
Yes, this was asked for at the previous meeting. You have before you basic information on what district policies are relative to healthcare benefits for commissioners. For the record, I will state that the district does not and has never provided lifetime health benefits either for commissioners or for staff. The policies are there. I need to draw your attention on page 2 of this report to District Policy 646. There's a typographical error in line 2 where it says commissioners appointed or elected prior to 1/1/94. That should read appointed or elected after 1/1/94 are not eligible to participate in the calendar.
Instead of prior, it should say after.
That is correct.
And then remove or later. The words or later.
Yeah. Is that going to get updated in the board packet online?
Yeah, we'll make the correction so that there's not incorrect
The
data.
policy is correct.
Yeah, this is a typographical error in this particular memorandum. The policy is correct.
Okay. This is an informational report. It looks pretty straightforward to me. It outlines various recipients and everything else, and sort of the chronology. So, any questions for Mr. Grinnell on this informational report?
I have some questions.
Okay, Commissioner.
So, when you started, you said that the district has not and has never provided lifetime health benefits. I just want to understand what you mean. Do you mean
Until people die.
That's right.
the district has never provided lifetime health? Is that, so for example, there's been a past commissioner who received the health benefits till they died, so I'm confused, but I'm just confused by what this
Normally,
means.
just from HR perspective, normally what a lifetime health care benefit means is that a person will either leave the district or retire or any of those things, and they will receive benefits until they die and their dependents die.
Is that because the commissioner died?
This has nothing to do with it. Okay, so that's a separate issue. Where
did I finish asking the question? Is that because the commissioner died before they could retire and collect the benefits? Meaning they died while they were still serving on the board?
Our benefits have absolutely nothing to do with retirement or
dying. It's a longevity healthcare benefit that is given to employees that serve longer than 12 years. They get 50% of that time in a benefit. Whether they die, whether they retire, whether they leave and move on to another job, it has nothing to do with retirement and nothing to do with death. Normally in an HR realm, as far as benefits are concerned, lifetime benefits are until the employee dies and or their dependent dies. We have never offered that.
Okay, so our benefits then are based on whether or not the individual was employed by or served the district for 12 years or over 12 years?
12 or more.
12 or more years.
Correct.
But that isn't the case today, right?
Yes, it is.
Well, it's not the case today. No, we stopped it in 2009.
Okay,
so any employee that starts after 2009 does not get that benefit.
And if I may interrupt, because this is in the same vein, that is what we refer to when we say a two-tier system, is it not?
That is
because you basically change, for the incoming freshmen of folks, their benefits will be different.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
We don't have any longevity.
And that's true for all the employees?
Yeah, all employees and commissioners, yes.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if they serve 30 years, if they retire off the board, they're not going to continue to get benefits. But if they were here prior to 2009, they would. Is that right?
No, because with the commissioners, it stopped in
94?
94, I want to say,
okay.
but I want to look. Yeah. With commissioners, it stopped in 94. With employees, it stopped in 2000.
So no one on this commission is eligible for it?
Correct. The last person was Sally.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Okay, so when I asked for this agenda item, I wasn't expecting to get this report, although this report is very helpful, so I appreciate it. I did not know that Commissioner Holsinger receives group health, dental, optical benefits, as does, I knew about Commissioner Paravano, but I didn't know Commissioner Holsinger was receiving all that. And I didn't understand that there was a payout option of $400 per month that Commissioner Tucker receives as an option versus taking the health benefits. Is that the?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
That's the policy.
Okay. So this is helpful just to clarify things, but what I was hoping to get was a report which on reducing or potentially eliminating the benefits provided to part-time elected representatives. So I think I was pretty clear about that on January 15th, that that's what I was looking for, although this seems like a good starting point.
I think there were 2 requests.
And then the other thing that I also mentioned in January was that I wanted to be sure that that the grandfathering of past practices is included in the report. So I'd like clarification on how to prevent grandfathering of past practices is what I'm trying to get at.
If I may comment on that, we have been conferring with legal counsel on this, and that is why we weren't able to present a second report tonight to you. You are quite correct. There were 2 things discussed at the previous meeting.
So, I'm sorry, Mr. Grinnell, so because obviously there are legal complexities here and sort of exposure issues, legal exposure issues and things. That's what you're looking into still?
That is correct, and we'll be coming back to you with answers for that.
Okay, and I believe also that the commission was going to let staff know exactly what it is you're looking for, because I think we're kind of...
Did what I say just make sense, or do you need?
No, it didn't.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't understand, did you want there to be grandfathering, or did you not want there to be grandfathering?
I want to understand how we could prevent grandfathering.
So you want, so I guess we'll just do a report that gives all kinds of options. Because
Item 9 on cards, company cards, Cal cards. Credit cards, I guess.
Yes, again, brought up at the previous meeting. And this is basically background information on the CalCard system and the Harbor District's use of it, what we use it for, and how we use it. You'll notice we've given you a list of all the staff who have these cards. One question that might be asked is, well, why do you have so many? That relates to how we actually operate. We have different shifts of staff operating at different times. There are different needs at any time. And so we have found in practice that it's more efficient in terms of getting work done to actually enable staff to have cards so that they don't have to find themselves stuck and unable to use the card, whether it's to purchase equipment or fuel vehicles or the other kinds of equipment that we have.
Mr. Grinnell, if I can interrupt you here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding of this is, and I'm just trying to think of it, I'm trying to apply it where I work. I mean, you know, the whole concept. The reason why people have cards is just to streamline and make purchases faster, if you will. Because, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, because another way of doing it would be if I were, let's say, if I were an employee and I wanted to fill my gas tank because I needed to go out and do a search and rescue or whatever, let's say. And I had to do, and it was, you know, I had to fill the gas tank, so I used my own personal credit card, and then I kept the receipt, and then I submitted it to the district, and then I got reimbursed. That's a lot of steps versus if you just have the card, which is just so much easier.
That is one of the efficiencies. That's right. Now, since you raised that, for those of the public who may not be that familiar with things, I'll just read a couple of these. I don't want to go too much into it, but you hit on it. Here's another one. Elimination of the use of petty cash and related emergency purchase orders. That has savings in accounting procedures and certainly from an auditing point of view, more security in terms of handling money. Again, streamlining the accounts payable process, reducing the number of checks issued. We can provide prompt payment to vendors, which means we have better relationships with those who work with the service. Again, as far as the money business, minimum membership or administrative fees is a state program. So for all these reasons, we also can get prompt payment and rebates and so on. So, and again, they have also been used when our harbor patrol needs to go for training at boating and waterways training classes, which in fact are mostly handled in Southern California and involves travel. It is much easier for staff for all of these and other reasons to have a CalCard to pay for their travel. And of course, then we can also keep track of them. So that's what we use these for. Just for the benefit of those who are wondering what was going on with fraudulent charges that were brought up recently, I've added a paragraph in there that explains what happened. And basically, persons unknown basically hacked into the system just the way Target was hacked. People have been hacked into all of it. Well, there was hacking going on here. We filed fraud protection reports to the bank. They looked at it, and indeed they credited back our cards. cards were handling and the issue. So again, there's no loss of public funds.
And we, I think we did give that report in 2010 when it happened.
Yes, this is overdue. 3 years ago. So anyway, that's the capital report.
Well, thank you for walking us through all of that. Are there any questions, commissioners?
I have some questions.
Commissioner Brennan.
So what is the limit on the, does each card have the same limit? How does the?
Most of the staff has about 1,000. The harbor master, I believe, is at 9,999.
I haven't been that high up, so I don't know.
Assistant harbor masters, I believe, is at 5. The
5,000?
Yes. The lead maintenance specialist, and then they each have a single purchase maximum. I think it's for $500 for the deputy harbor masters and for $2,000 for the assistant harbor masters. But there's a single purchase limit. So if they need to know about that, they need to contact me, and we'll look at whether or not it needs to be done. And there has been a time where I've gone ahead and put on my cards exactly higher than the single limit purchase. So we can expedite whatever the purchase is.
So the range is between a limit of 5,000 to 1,000?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I thought it was 500.
It's 1,000, it's a single purchase.
Okay, thank you, I'm sorry.
5,000 and 1,000, okay. And I understand that there are various reasons why we have to fuel up vehicles and boats and what have you, so I get that. Has the district considered doing what the sewer authority, Mid-Coast, whatever they're called, does, which is they have a gas card through Voyager Fleet Services, which is also through U.S. Bank, and they fuel up their fleet of vehicles at the Chevron in Moss Beach and the Chevron in Half Moon Bay, and I'm sure there's a Chevron over in South San Francisco too.
I believe before my time, I believe they had a gas card and they found it.
I wasn't here before you, so.
Yeah, I think they've done that and it didn't work very well. I believe part of the reason that it didn't work very well is there was only 1 or 2 cars issued, and I think it leaves the employees more accountable if they have a card in their name. So if I have one card in wherever it happens to be located, and someone goes in there and takes it and fills up their own car, and then puts it back, it's going to be, well, I didn't do it. And so you're going to be trying to figure out whose car was filled up and how and why. Whereas if they have a card in their name, they are responsible for that card, and they are responsible for the purchases on that card, and hold them accountable for every purchase.
Okay, and then they're providing you with the receipt that goes with.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And those receipts are reviewed when the bill comes in to make sure that the receipt is appropriate and it matches the bill, and that the supervisor has signed off on that purchase.
Okay. And so like in the last 10 years, is this $4,700 worth of fraud, is that the only instance?
That's the only instance. It's not like it. And I've been here for 6 years. So I don't believe I've seen anything else.
Is that General Manager Brunel, is that?
That's my understanding.
With that?
15 years.
That's the only instance? Okay.
And that was all during the same period of time, so it was clear that it was like within like 7 months, I think it was 1 year. It was in like a real small pocket of time. And we noticed the first few and we contacted them, and they immediately looked at all the other cards that we had on file, and they said, yeah, looks like there's a couple of other weird ones. We're just going to cancel the whole thing. Okay.
So, I know that in 2010, when this fraud thing happened, once it was recognized, the cards were canceled. But with this last situation where the district released the credit card statements with the account numbers visible,
there was a delay in canceling the cards, and I'm wondering if we have a policy about that process, because I sent emails to the general manager and to the board president requesting that the cards be canceled, and there was like about a 24-hour delay, and I felt like I had to convince management that we cancel the cards. There was a resistance to do that, so
I don't think I don't know when that was. I don't remember there being a delay.
well, it's all documented in email. But so going forward, is there, do we need to develop a policy for immediately canceling cards if we have some sort of a disclosure of account numbers or a fraud situation? Because it was very frustrating for me. I felt like I had to fight a battle to get the cards canceled, and it doesn't seem like it should be that way.
I can't speak to it because I didn't know that there was a delay. Okay. It seemed like they were canceled pretty quickly to me.
Well, I called and canceled my own card because of the delay. So I don't have a card anymore, and I cut my card up into little pieces after I canceled it. But anyway, we have how many employees now? We have 27. 27, and of the 27, how many have cards? And I can count this if I need to.
That's what you need to do.
So no commissioners have cards now, is that correct?
Correct.
25. Okay, so only 2 of our employees are without cards.
Yes.
Okay. To me, it seems like we have too many cards, and I know that in the past, at past meetings, Commissioner Tucker has also alluded to concerns about that. Is there a way we can have more of a designated, like if with each crew have a designated person who has a card, or maybe we just need to have our assistant harbor masters and our harbor master with cards?
No, I got to speak to that one. The time and the labor, you're taking the high end of the staff salaries to go out to Texaco or Chevron. I would rather have the lowest paid employee do some of the, can you go to the hardware store and get the widget? It would make much more sense. And, if it's something complicated, I see someone hired going to get something. But, for the basic rudimentary things we buy, where they have to go out and field together, it just makes sense.
Okay.
I'm going to rise to a point of order, Mr. President. My colleague has exceeded the 5-minute limit.
So just to be clear, I'm getting cut off at the 5-minute time limit. Thank you.
No, it's at 7 minutes.
Okay, all right.
Okay, Commissioners, is there any commissioner, any questions on this item? I have none. So, okay, thank you for this informational item. I think this is very helpful. And we are now at item number 10, informational report on environmental management system EMS update. Harbor Master Grundy?
Yes, what you have is a general annual report that you'll be getting probably annually. And what I wanted to state first off is this is a living document. Things change, we have to be able to keep working at our protection of our environment, whatever field study it might be or what type it is. Even after writing this, I received a letter from, or an email, and I think you also received it today from Lisa Ketchum of Knox Beach. And she made some good points, some things that were already in, I try to use a more topical title to some things, so some of those are already there. And some that work for other instances I will incorporate or modify. But overall, you have the report. It basically is talking about all, the EMS, just to reiterate for the audience, we have what I call an EMS or environmental management system. It's an umbrella over the entire district, so to speak. Speaking about what we do for construction in a green way, what we do for recycling in a green way, and so forth. And each one of those is kind of like the little point on the end of our umbrella as you look at it. And it gives us at least an ability to target and make sure we're doing things right. There's always room for improvement, but I think that we have to be able least have a footprint to work from and go forward. And, there's a lot of steps that we'll probably be doing later on in the sense of budgeting for next year and so forth in the future years of ways we can improve other issues of what we do or what is around us. And that's written in the report. So, anyway, you have my report. I'll take questions.
Commissioners, questions?
Any questions? Let's go through.
Okay. Commissioner Brennan?
So it sounds like the planning workshop that we have annually, that this is sort of getting prepared for that, is that?
Well, some of it is. I mean, obviously every year when I go forward, whether we have a planning workshop or if I just bring it to the board and say, hey, we realize we need to do something specific to the overarching EMS program, whatever it might be. I see this as our best laid plan as far as what we need to attack to basically make us better.
And I appreciate this report. I'm wondering if when we get to the planning workshop, I know usually there's an AV, an audiovisual presentation. If we could take it this is a really important report, if we could kind of step it up and take it to the next level, make it into an audiovisual presentation, because the last time we did the workshop, we did get an AV presentation, but it was a little bit more like a shopping list of, we'd like to get this, we'd like to do that, and this feels very different from that.
Well, and I think that whether it be a PowerPoint type presentation or whether it be a PowerPoint presentation we bring to the board in print form, or something of that nature, just explain where we're going, a picture of things like, there's a picture included here of staff working in a training mode with taking water samples. And I think that that can be done. It's just, trying to pull out, yeah.
This is great, yeah, I mean, this is...
thank you, but I think it's also, a lot of things we do, we can't even take a picture of. It's things we're doing as like putting batteries into a box. It's, it's a picture of doing it, and so it's more explaining what we do to recycling or whatever.
But I think, if we did have any photos of the water quality testing program that we're expanding, and if we had pictures of some of our recycling centers, things like that, I know those are things that the public's really interested in. Not everybody can always make it to that planning workshop because it's, on a weekday during the day.
Well, some of those things, I'm hoping to put like this and a few other documents into the web base, because we get reports from, I brought it along as an example. This is the Oyster Point, South San Francisco report I get every year. There's two-thirds of a ream of paper basically talking about everything that we never would read. But yet, if you're a scientist, you would be looking at. And yet, that kind of report is important to have, for historical especially.
Yeah.
And it's not just Pillar Point, it's also Oyster Point. We have a lot of things going on both sides.
So
they're very critical.
I just want to mention a couple things. So I'm starting actually at the 2014 to 2015 proposals, which is the last page. And a couple things that stood out was you've got the pump out that we've already talked about tonight. So we're actually ahead of schedule with, kind of getting right on that, which is great. And then you've got developing a sustainability policy, balancing economy, ecology, and social equity. That sounds really interesting. And then you've got energy and resource use study with action plan for district. And I notice on our list of bills every month that our electricity use is obviously it's a high cost, as is our trash service and that sort of thing. And I'm wondering if, if we could get more specific and talk about looking at solar at some point. I'm just kind of putting that out there that we don't.
I understand.
Yeah, and then I was glad to see the co-sponsor of Salmon Watch program included, and in this business about staff will soon be presenting to board for approval various grants that assist in the area of environmental, including educational media for school children the district staff works with, as well as for additional pump out equipment and related services, additional research in process for multi-agency grant requests for spill, trailers for placement at harbors and marinas. And this sounds really exciting, and if this is what's happening because you were able to hire a couple more people, I'm happy.
I hate to piggyback on what I've done before, but this is what it is.
Yeah.
American Association of Port Authority was already in this 10 years ago, and I want to move that direction. And they did the EMS program. It was on the first wave of that going on. And that's what this is here.
Yeah.
Because the intent is you take the low-hanging fruit and keep moving up.
Well, this looks really interesting. I noticed that you also have planning for emergencies, and I know we've talked about tsunami in the past, and I know we've got tsunami flyer on our website, our beautiful website with that banner ad that goes across the top about tsunami. But if you tap on that, you get a PDF which is almost impossible to read, and so I know that's an area that we can work on. I know you're already thinking about what to do there, and we've got a lot of other agencies that are working on that too. So I'm excited about that as an area for improvement. It seems to fit in with what I'm reading here. The last thing I need to say is
Mr. President, I know I was to a point of order. The commissioner has far exceeded 5 minutes.
I didn't talk the whole time, so I need a couple more minutes.
Okay, Commissioner Brennan, just please finish up. I'm sorry.
All right. So I want to just really sincerely give my appreciation to the staff who has been working on developing the program for cleaning up both West Point and Hill Point Harbor and making those two locations greener. I know that Gary Stern and Jacob Waldron have been working hard on it, but I know that they are also working with other people as well, and I do really appreciate the effort there. I'm really glad that we've got somebody who can help out with some grant writing now, because I know, Scott, that you can't do everything, so that's awesome. And lastly, this business about the Environment Committee that Commissioner Bernardo and Brandon are on, this sounds beautiful, but I don't want to take any credit for what's happening here because we haven't even met as a committee. So I really want to put the credit back on everybody who's doing the work, and that's the staff. So thank you.
It's a team effort of the staff. I mentioned Gary Stern and Jacob Baldwin, but it's a team effort. Because it's whether it's doing something with our customers or tenants, others, it's a team effort from the lowest denominator up.
It's so nice that we got the clean public committee.
Thank you. And I just want to also chime in, the clean marina designation is something to really be proud of, and staff, it's really the staff that does it. And I'm looking at this list, and I've said it before, in my day job, we also have lists of environmental programs, whether it's cleaner trucks, cleaner vessels, and things like that. And we have a large team. We have a very large environmental team. Our environmental planning and programs team is huge. And I'm looking at this list, and I know how much staff you have. And I wonder how you do all of this. It's boggling to me how you do this. I just really, so kudos and hats off, because it's a lot. Thank you for the great report. Staff reports. In finance, we have General Manager's report, Director of Finance, and HR Manager's report. Mr. Bernal? Okay, why don't we just bundle all three, since they're all bundled under admin and finance, and any questions for Mr. Brunel, finance, or HR, who's head of?
So, want to check in on Wi-Fi? Wondering where we're at with that. I think we were getting really close, and Administration's draft standardized policy guidance. It looks like that didn't happen, so no one complained about that because the deadline is February 15th, so I think we've missed our opportunity there. I'm going to write my own letter. Anybody can do that, so I encourage anybody that's interested that there's you can watch the Coastal Commission's report on it, which is online on their website, and there's a video of the report, which they give at their meeting, and then there's also a written report as well. And that's all I have.
Point of information, Mr. President, for those who may be interested in my manager's report, on page 2, I refer to the Coastal Commission's first policy guidance and what's basically in it. It's a 178-page document that has one section of particular relevance to the Harbor District, which is guidance for coastal development permit applicants. And there are 5 particular steps that one would want to follow in submitting future CDP applications. Of course, the Harbor District will be doing that. I should also point out that the Coastal Commission's guidance is a companion to the San Francisco Bay Commission's similar document that came out a couple of years earlier. And of course, we would be making use of that to the extent that we might have to receive PCDC approval for any oyster port projects in the future. So in fact, we are cognizant of what's in these documents and how they should be used and we'll be using them. So I just wanted to be aware of that.
Thank you. Any other questions? We'll move over to operations with Harbor Master Planning.
Oh, one last question. We haven't had any representative from finance, from our finance department at our meetings in quite some time, and I'm wondering if we have questions about finance, it's hard to ask those when we don't have our finance manager, or director here, so I'm wondering if that's going to change.
If you have questions about finance, you'll direct them to me and we'll get back to you on who the answers.
Do we still have a director of finance?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Thank you. So, Harbor Master Randy, operations.
Yes. First off, just to mention on the back table, there is a logo in light green called Dock Walkers. I've invited staff to attend this and also tenants to attend this if they are so interested. This is just one more environmental thing for GW that will help keep the farmers clean. With that, time is valuable here, so I will take any questions.
Questions?
A quick question. We have here Finger Dock replacement project, awaiting Coastal Commission permit. Any ETA on how that's going?
Should be soon. I mean, it's not,
I know it takes time.
Yeah.
So no word recently?
Nothing official saying that they're good to go yet.
Okay. And on the occupancy rate, I noticed Oyster Point Marina is at 69%. It seems like it's gone down. Is that partially due to people moving on, or what's the story?
I wouldn't say it's any specific group, just changes. It does do that during fishing season too. There's a lot of smaller boats that come and go. A lot of more halibut type fishermen in Central for the Bay and other type of fish. And basically they come in, park their boat, and then after they're done with whatever their fishing season is, and it is winter, so it is warm out there to go fishing. So they trailer it up and take it home.
Thank you.
Or put it in storage till it breaks.
Thank you. And I was noticing this really nice picture. Congratulations, Harbor Patrol team for Mavericks 2014. And
it's out here. They did
in support of the Mavericks event, and I assume this is going to go into their personnel files. Great, this is just great. Thank you. So, okay, we are now at the point of our agenda where we are at item 15, committee reports, and then, well, we haven't had any, so, commission statements. Board of Harbor Commissioners, we make public statements. So,
I have a statement. Since our meetings start at 6 o'clock now, and some of us work a day job, and, if we get out in 5 minutes, a rush to get here by 6. Is there a way we could have, like, some sandwiches or something? Because to go all day and then not have any food is hard. It's hard to get through the meeting when there's no food available. So if the meeting's at 7, there'd be time to eat, but there isn't time to eat as it is now. So has that ever happened in the past where
we would provide sandwiches and just for like an all-day budget meeting?
Okay, well, I don't have a chance to eat before the meeting, so I'm wondering if we can.
So I made that rush and cross the bridge and everything, but I do. I feel so my stomach feels the same way. I don't know what to say. Because that's
You'll have to direct staff.
Because as hungry as I am, I can't see us using public funds for food.
Well, perhaps we could put in some money and then we could just have the food.
We could do it informally. I mean, the commissioners, the hungry commissioners can create a food. Get a pizza or something.
Like a veggie pizza or something.
Yeah, I'd go for that.
Okay, so we can sort that out later.
Sorry. Okay, any other commissioner items?
This is a statement that could be generated to a letter referring to the state commodity marketing commissions. The California Department of Food and Agriculture has numerous commodity marketing commissions, and we probably know them as commonly the milk board, the raisin board, the pruning board. And the only seafood that has made it to the level of a commodity marketing board has been king salmon. And the process for renewing the authority for the Department of Food and Agriculture to authorize the use of marketing campaigns and promotional campaigns for the king salmon is to go through a public hearing, and depending upon the input received by the public, by the agencies, they will proceed accordingly. And this is a common practice. It's done every 5 years. And the source of these educational and promotional campaigns, which are done by the California Salmon Council, are all coming from assessments assessed through the Commercial Salmon Commission in the state of California, or licenses under the authority of the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. So the next hearing for this authorization is February the 25th in Santa Rosa. And they are requesting written comments by Friday, February 21st. Be sent into the California Department of Food and Agriculture Marketing Branch. So I ask my fellow commissioners whether this is something that can be done in consensus and the direction by the board to the general manager to issue a letter of support an educational promotional campaign.
When does it need to be received by?
The 21st. February 21st, 2014. And the hearing date will be on February 25th, Tuesday. So this is...
I would support that. I would too.
It means a lot for all the salmon fishermen in the state and the ones that come into the state to capture wild salmon.
Make that happen, and what I would do would be to
the final letter and a link to the website or whatever, so we can learn more about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so any other commissioner statements?
Are we still on schedule to do a report on PRA requests at some point?
It would help if we knew what on consensual report.
I think we went over that on January 15th. I'd hate to have to go over it again right now, then we meeting, but I could. So, we voted during the meeting on a report. I'm sure you don't want to just go back to there's a video of the meeting, you can just look at it. Or do I need to? So, the board voted to approve having a report on the Public Records Act and some of the delays that the public have been experiencing in receiving what is public information from this district in ways that we might be able to meet the requirements of the PRA Act. And we also discussed the strain that PRA requests put on staff, and there was going to be a discussion about ways of dealing with that, maybe the top management, maybe this isn't the best use of their time, I don't know, but obviously somebody has to do it, and it needs to be done in a timely way so that we aren't violating the Public Records Act, and we were going to have an informational report on the procedures that the district is following to meet PRA requests and what we can do to streamline the process, improve the process, meet the deadlines, all of that. Does that help? When we talked about this in the last meeting.
Yes, that's well done, thank you.
Okay.
Out of personal privilege, there was no vote of the board directing staff to do anything. There was an information request.
Or whatever it was, I don't remember, but we agreed to do it.
Okay, so just to sort of follow up to this then, this is also an informational report. Yes. Okay, it's an informational report, okay.
And then the last thing I wanted to ask is just, is it possible to get the email, I'm really happy about the new email address. Thank you for setting that up. I know a lot of energy went into that, took a long time. Is there a way to forward that email to our regular email address so that we're getting the emails more promptly?
It's not doing that for you? Okay, let me double check with Steve, because he wanted to forward it to your DFM. And I thought he was going to do that.
Okay, thank you so much.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that last request.
So you could forward our new email, your new email address, the email coming to you, you could have it forwarded to to another email address that you...
And when you respond though, how does it respond? Or like, what would the recipient see?
They would see your other email address, unfortunately. And I wish there was a way to fix that, but I don't know how to do that.
So I don't know that.
I think if you're forwarding it to that email, that's what's going to happen.
So then you have to go to your other, then you have to go to the new inbox and respond that
That's
way.
what I was thinking too. So, just for me, please do not do that for me because it's just so much easier for me to just go into the new thing and use that rather than that would be kind of a mess.
I'm not going to respond out of my old email, but at least I'll know that I have it now. So that's
a good idea. That's a really good idea. Okay. Any other, before we head into closed session soon, is there any other public statements? I have none. Okay. Thank you. Item 16, as a formality of going into closed session, we have to identify a district real property negotiator, and so that is to designate district real property negotiator Peter Brunel. Okay, so move to room executive.
Are we going to vote on that?
Do we need to vote on that? No. Okay, we have to vote on that.
We are supposed to vote on that, but if you don't want to vote on it.
I'm looking at council, and we don't. Move to wait a closed session. Okay. So closed session, I hear a motion. Second, all in favor of going to closed session, say aye. 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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. We are officially in closed session, so let's have a few minutes.
We now return control of your television set to you until next week at this same time, when the control voice will take you to the outer limits.